South Jersey's official play-by-play home of the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers.
At 0 point would I ever consider not being a fan of the team.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
Isn't it about time for somebody's favorite radio program? Yeah.
97.3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him, but he talks to me.
Now, live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Mike Gill.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on a happy hour Friday NFL Championship Sunday. We are counting down all week, and now we are within hours of the Philadelphia Eagles kickoff. About 48 hours. So yes, thank the Lord it is finally Friday, and we get to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles this Sunday against the Washington Commanders. Today, we are here for 4 hours, filling in for Mike Gill, Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN, live in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios. We are also on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. We got a jam-packed show just for you guys, for all of you tuning in, wherever you tune in, the 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, or if you're watching on my YouTube channel, you can see the Ocean Casino Resort Studios. You can see I got my Eagles polo shirt on. We are ready to go for Eagles game day with the following lineup coming up in 25 minutes from now. Jeff Howe, NFL insider from The Athletic. 3 p.m., John McMullen, Eagles insider for a Friday conversation on the Birds. 4 o'clock, Andrew DiCecco will be checking in from the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com for football at 4. Knicks Nuggets, as always, 4:25 this evening. Sal Paolantonio. You do not want to miss Sal Paolantonio, a Sal Pal Friday edition here on 97.3 ESPN. Just because Mike Gill is on vacation doesn't mean Sal Paolantonio is on vacation. He is at the NovaCare Center all week. We'll get his perspective on the Birds at 5, and then we will get the outside view from John Keim. He covers the Washington Commanders for ESPN NFL Nation. So we got you covered on every angle of the game this Sunday. You and me hanging out, happy hour Friday. What are you guys up to? Let me know. 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Before we start breaking down some of the topics of the day, I do want to give a little bit of an update, because we do have some updates from Eagles practice today. Couple of interesting notes. Number one, after not practicing Wednesday and Thursday, Dallas Goedert and Cam Jurgens were at practice with their helmets on the field today. Now, we should also point out that today's practice was indoors, and I'm not going to hyper insinuate anything, but I will make the assumption, based on just observations of how this week has gone, that the Eagles considered Goddard's ankle and Jurgens' back problematic enough that they didn't want them out in the elements practicing the last 2 days, and the training staff deemed it okay for them to be indoors practicing. So there might be something to that. We will keep an eye on the injury report, which comes out in a couple hours on Fridays here on 97.3 ESPN. The other note is that Jalen Hurts is again full participant at practice, and there are multiple reports out there that Jalen Hurts, he's been running at practice, he is sprinting, he has no limitations at all. So it is very fascinating that people in certain corners of the sports media universe are still hung up on the idea that Jalen Hurts, his knee, is going to play a factor in the game on Sunday. I'm here to tell you that Hurts' knee is probably not going to be as impactful as you think it is. Evan Cohen, earlier today on 97.3 ESPN Radio, he is, of course, the co-host of the morning show on Sportsmanlike. He also filled in today from 10 a.m. to noon, so it was a long day for Evco. Here's what he said about Jalen Hurts and the numerous critiques of the Eagles quarterback.
This critique of Jalen Hurts, which I just don't understand the level we've gotten with this. Do you know the last time he threw an interception?
It was November 10th against Dallas.
Do you know how many interceptions, including the playoffs, Jalen Hurts threw after the third game of the season this year? 1. To me, I've become, obviously, agitated about the critique of Jalen Hurts because we're asking him to do things that he doesn't need to do. And the one thing he needs to do is not give the opposition a better chance of winning, which he doesn't actually do.
First of all, it sounds like Evan Cohen was listening to me the other day here on 97.3 ESPN. As I said, filling in for Mike Gill on Wednesday, and as we put out there on social media, at 973 ESPN on Twitter, at 973 ESPN on Instagram and TikTok, I said it. Why do we want Jalen Hurts to be something that he is not? Why are we asking him to all of a sudden do something that he is not? Now, can he get better? Yes. Can he improve? Yes. Are there areas of his game that are worth questioning? Absolutely. Do we know that some of the sacks against the Rams on Sunday were directly Jalen Hurts' fault? Absolutely. I'm not denying any of those things. But when Jalen Hurts is dialed in, when he is focused on the task and the job he has to do, he gets it done. We have heard numerous former NFL quarterbacks. I've played the audio for the last couple of weeks here on 97.3 ESPN as I filled in for Mike Gill, who is still in Thailand. I've told you guys, from Dan Orlovsky to Alex Smith, we had Tony Banks on the show last week. I've heard Ron Jaworski talk about this on television. There's a ton of former quarterbacks who keep bringing up the point. Phil Simms as well from the Believe podcasting network. They all keep saying that Jalen Hurts is doing what the Eagles are asking him and telling him to do. So, if he's not taking risks, then why are we worried about him? And I like what Evan Cohen said. It's the idea that why are we critiquing a guy for something when we're not also applauding him for something? People are so concerned about Jalen Hurts' knee. But as Brian Baldinger talked about on the Takeoff with John Clark podcast, it's Hurts not willing to make the risky throws that is more important than anything else for the Eagles.
Right now, I don't feel like Jalen's going to make those throws. The throw to the sideline to A.J. Brown is a safe throw. It's his back shoulder. A.J.'s getting it. Nobody's getting it. I feel like he's taken the 50-50 balls out, and he's good. He's a good deep ball thrower. We've seen him make number of throws over the years down the field. But I don't feel like he wants to put the team in jeopardy right now by making a throw that he doesn't necessarily have to make.
He doesn't have to make. Now, we're not saying there are throws that he could make in certain situations. I know there's a lot of debate about what he should have done on the goal line when he allowed that safety to happen, right? There's a lot of conversation about should he have thrown the ball away? Should he have backed so far up into the end zone? A lot of stuff there. I totally get that. But if we are going to win this game on Sunday, part of it is going to be Jalen Hurts' ability to play within himself. The last time Jalen Hurts played through a knee injury, and we know he has that brace on his left knee right now at practice this weekend in the last game. But in 2023, Jalen Hurts played through a knee injury for 3 games. He originally sustained the injury during the Dolphins game on Sunday Night Football. He then went on to play with it against the Washington Commanders and the Dallas Cowboys the next couple weeks. So Philadelphia said, Jalen, we need you to keep playing through this knee injury till we get to the bye week. Over those 3 games, Jalen Hurts compiled 8 touchdowns, 1 interception, a 75% completion percentage with 268 yards per game, and a 125.5 passer rating. So it's not that Jalen Hurts cannot play at a high level, but there has to be something else going on, whether it's the play calling, whether it's what Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni are asking of him, whatever the message is in his ear. There's something about what he is seeing that is the problem. Sal Paolantonio, less than an hour ago on national ESPN radio, said this.
And if it weren't for Barkley and a defense that basically bailed him out on Sunday against L.A., 9 sacks would be just unforgivable. It's just too many, including a safety. They've got to get more out of him. I don't know where it's going to come from. It's got to be more creative. Maybe it's jet sweeps. Maybe it's pitches. Maybe it's reverses. Maybe it's just boot action to get him outside the pocket. And he's a very good quarterback on the run when he's throwing. He sees the field clearly. He doesn't see it clearly in the middle of the pocket.
As Sal said, for whatever reason, he's not seeing it well in the pocket. And I went and looked up the NFL Next Gen stats because Sal Paolantonio mentioned 9 sacks this postseason, 7 in the game versus the Rams. I did a little research because we've talked about here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash live in the Ocean Casino Resort of Atlantic City studio. Jalen Hurts has 1 year where he has been quick to throw the ball. 1 year. That was 2022, his Super Bowl MVP season. His time to throw, basically the NFL Next Gen Stats defines that as from the moment the ball is snapped to the quarterback to the moment he releases the ball out of his hands. He averaged 2.76 seconds. That's the only time in the last 4 seasons as the Philadelphia Eagles starting quarterback that he has been below 3 seconds on average. This year, 3.13 seconds. Last year, 3.03 seconds. 2021, 3.12 seconds. So there is a couple of variables going on here. On one hand, Evan Cohen is right. We should give more credit to Jalen Hurts for not turning the ball over, for playing within himself. And Brian Baldinger is right. Yes, Jalen Hurts has not been turning the ball over. And as we told you guys all week here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle, the 4 teams that are left in the conference Final Four: the Eagles, the Bills, the Commanders, and the Chiefs have all not turned the ball over. Jalen Hurts' not turning the ball over has been more of a benefit than not. But you heard Sal Paolantonio say, if he keeps holding the ball and taking sacks, that's going to be a problem. And the Eagles got to get more creative with their quarterback in this game. Because Washington's defense is greatly exaggerated in their talent. And their defensive coordinator, Joe Witt Jr., I don't know if he said this on purpose or he's just trying to be a macho man, but when he said this yesterday, I just shook my head because you know that this is bulletin board material for the Birds.
We've had a number of these guys that we've had to prepare for. The one thing is if he's going to run the ball and if the coordinator makes a decision for him to run the ball, we're going to treat him like a running back, and we're going to hit him that way. That's their decision if they want to get him hit the way that he gets hit. If they don't, they'll keep him in the pocket. So that's what we're going to do.
I mean, first of all, you know Jeff Stoutland, the Eagles' O-line, is going to be wanting to put some hurt on the Washington Commanders for the even thinking about hurting their quarterback is one. Number two, what if Hurts doesn't run the ball? What if Hurts stays in the pocket and just has an efficient game, right? and I'm just throwing out a number, okay? I'm not saying this is literally what's going to happen, but if Jalen Hurts goes out there and goes 18 for 24 for 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions, and he only runs the ball, let's say, twice for 20 yards, do you really think the Eagles are going to lose that game? Of course they're not. Of course they're not, because Hurts stayed efficient. I think the big concern going into this game is going to be, will the Eagles call the type of game? Kellen Moore, under the supervision of Nick Sirianni, whoever you want to blame for the play calling, quarterback coach Doug Nussmeier, offensive assistant Kevin Mottola, throw them all in the bucket, okay? Throw them all into the conversation, right? Whoever's responsible, whoever's in command, whoever is pulling the trigger that you want to blame out there, are they going to call the kind of game that is going to put the Eagles offense in the best position to be successful? Because the Washington defense twice against the Eagles has struggled tremendously. And it's not like Washington's defense this postseason run has been elite. Remember, this is a Washington defense that just allowed 31 points to the Lions, a Lions team that turned the ball over 5 times. They still scored 31. When the Eagles lost to Washington, when Kenny Pickett played most of the game, the Eagles scored 33. The first time they played, they scored 26. The first time they played, the Eagles' offense totaled for 228 rushing yards. The second time they played, they totaled for 211 rushing yards. And then just this past weekend, they allowed 201 yards to the Lions. There is an obvious vulnerability for the Washington Commanders. They allow points, and you can run the ball on them. So why in any reality would I do anything except for keep running a version of the offense we've already been running? Run the ball, use the pass game off the run game, and keep the ball away from Jaden Daniels. Because if you run the ball and you play keep away, you are not going to let Washington be in a position to beat you. Josh on the Parkway is first one chiming in on the text board, 609-403-0973. He says, can't wait to put the commies to bed as we're focusing on our opponent in Super Bowl. Jalen's doing everything he needs to be doing. He's playing it safe, chip away down the field, and burn the clock. No need to force passes and make analysts happy. That's Josh on the Parkway. Yeah, and, it's the idea of, former Eagles legend, well, not former Eagles legend, but Eagles legend, Jeremiah Trotter. He was the one who said that, look, we get so caught up in some of this stuff that, frankly, the only thing that really matters, Trotter said to Derek Gunn on the Gun on One podcast, on the Inside the Birds podcast, the only thing that really matters is winning.
The guy wins ball games. He does what it takes to win. He's not worried about stats. He's not trying to. He ain't worried about breaking the single season passing record. He's worried about wins, stacking W's, and that's what he means. That's all I care about. People that don't know football, they can get caught up in all them stats they want to.
2 o'clock out of the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN, being brought to you by Autumn Lake Healthcare Center, skilled nursing rehabilitation with elite-level care in a warm and vibrant atmosphere. Visit autumnlakehealthcare.com to find a location near you. Coming up next, we will get a national perspective on the Eagles and Commanders, and as well take a look at all of NFL Championship Sunday with Jeff Howe from The Athletic, plus more your texts coming up this hour. 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on a Happy Hour Friday.
Wake up weekday mornings from 6 to 10 a.m. with Unsportsmanlike on 97.3 ESPN with Evan Cohen, Super Bowl champion Chris Canty, and Michelle Small.
Can't wake up without it.
Brought to you by the Gallery Bar Book and Games at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City.
winter savings are heating up at BMW of Atlantic City. With an incredible selection and dropping interest rates, there's never been a better time to buy. Plus, qualified buyers pay nothing for 90 days with approved credit. Their expert team is ready to help you find your perfect BMW with personalized service that puts you first. Visit BMWAtlanticCity.com or stop by today. BMW of Atlantic City, your trusted destination for exceptional BMW savings this season. No payments for 90 days requires approved credit. See dealer for complete details.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Individual results may vary. Consult a doctor prior to use.
You've lost so much weight. How'd you do it?
I got medical treatment for weight loss through Zelty and lost 50 pounds. I struggled for the longest time, but Zelty makes it easy and affordable to get weight loss treatment 100% online. Zelty providers can prescribe FDA-approved weight loss medications clinically shown to help people lose weight, like Wegovy, Zepbound, and others.
I've heard those medications can help you lose weight, but aren't they expensive?
Zelty can help get the medication covered by insurance, so it's as little as $0 a month.
What if you don't have insurance?
No problem. Zelty may be able to help you get other GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% off the price of name brand medications.
I'm ready to start losing weight. How do I get started with Zelty?
Just text.
Text SKINNY to 200-300 to get started today with Zelty and see if weight loss medications like Wegovy and Zepbound are right for you. Don't wait. Text now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text SKINNY to 200-300. That's SKINNY to 200-300. SKINNY to 200-300.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay, things people love.
Go get your game on at the Gallery Bar, Book and Games at Ocean Casino Resort. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the Gallery, go to Fanatic Sportsbook, and go for the win at Ocean Casino Resort. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Taxes was not knowing your full financial picture. Now Taxes is getting and maximizing your refund all in one place. Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get you the most money back, guaranteed. Then you can do more with all that money, all in Credit Karma. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Get started today. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
Progressive presents Renters MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Emily Neal's 70-inch TV. Because after watching her second-grade students yell at each other for hours, there's nothing Emily enjoys more than watching super-rich housewives also yell at each other. Why? Because those women are not her responsibility. And that's why her TV is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Are you looking for a rewarding career where you can make a difference every day? Apply today to join the Camden County Police Department.
Our officers work to protect and serve Camden County.
We need people like you to continue our mission.
It's one of the top-ranked police forces in America.
We lead by example through our unwavering commitment to our community. And because our officers are the key to building safer, stronger neighborhoods.
We offer competitive pay throughout training, high starting salaries, and excellent benefits.
Rise to the challenge and be part of the next generation of police. Apply today at CamdenCountyPD.org.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part? They accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right, so we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales.
Start the new year right in a new Chevy from Bennett, where we sell new Chevys at the true GM supplier employee price. Yeah, you pay what our employees pay, not a penny more. Plus, at Bennett Chevrolet, you keep all the rebates. That's incredible. That's right, you save both ways, saving you up to 20% off the sticker. But it gets even better, because right now there's available 0.9% 0.9% financing, saving you even more. 0.9. And get this, if you're looking for a pre-owned, Bennett Chevy will pay you a minimum $10,000 for any old clunker you can get here towards any pre-owned in stock. You'll get at least 10 grand for total junk. Imagine how much you'll get for a good trade. And one more thing, Bennett's sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. That makes a huge difference. No hype, no pressure. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Keeping the fans entertained and happy.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
You know, everyone wants to look at the quarterback, and yes, Jalen hasn't played as well as he's probably wanted to the last couple weeks. AJ. But the magic to me is it's boring, but it's that offensive line.
Yeah.
And what Saquon's been able to do in that defense and, you know, Jalen Carter and what they've been able to do with Zach Bond. I think his season has been just so fun to watch. Everyone kind of writes him off, and then he signs a one-year deal in Philly, and then Fangio finds a gem, and he's an all-pro, and he could win Defensive Player of the Year. He lines up on the ball. He lines up off the ball. And maybe with Philly, it's less typical storyline and more magic at other spots.
That was Luke Kuechly on the Up and Adams show. We talk so much about the quarterback. We talk so much about the head coach, right? So how much of the Eagles' success, as Luke Kuechly calls it, the magic of the Eagles being in the NFC Championship game, how much of it is all the other pieces? Well, a man who has seen firsthand about how the narratives of a head coach and a quarterback can be the overwhelming topics on championship teams is Jeff Howe. Covered the New England Patriots for many years, now is National NFL Insider for The Athletic. He joins us right now on 97.3 ESPN. Jeff, welcome back. How you doing today?
Doing well. Thanks for having me back.
I appreciate it. So when you hear that, when you hear a guy like Luke Kuechly say, hey, you know, the magic of the Eagles is not the traditional storylines, is that a fair assessment of the Eagles now being where they are in their second conference championship game in 3 years?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you need to be a well-rounded team to be this successful year over year, and to get to this stage, you know, twice in 3 years, as you said. I mean, you look at the way that they've struggled passing the ball, especially since Hurts came back from the concussion. They needed complementary football. They needed good play on defense, special teams, and, of course, from Saquon Barkley. I mean, this is, you know, as we talked about before, this is a team that signs up for a 60-minute bar fight every single week, and you love to watch it. I mean, even though, you know, there's so much attention on the passing game, and I understand why, and I'm certainly guilty of falling into that narrative with plenty of teams as well. But when it comes down to playing football in January and what the Eagles hope is February, you need to do a lot of things well. And, you know, they're a tough team. It's not just the offensive line. You know, the defense takes on that identity too. And they're just, you know, they're a scrappy group. And if it gets to the point where Hurts if Hurts kind of snaps out of this, it's going to be hard to knock them off.
Well, it's interesting to snap out of it because, you know, you mentioned about their style of play has not needed Jalen Hurts to snap out of whatever you want to call it. I mean, it depends on who you ask. You know, some people may say, hey, Hurts isn't turning the ball over. That's what they need from him. Other people are saying, yeah, but he's holding the ball too much. So for you, you know, how do you weigh the fact that you do have a quarterback who is risk averse versus a quarterback who, because he is risk averse, it is creating some of these conversations?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I think, you know, when watching him the last 2 weeks, the one thing that I just would want to see more of is just take more of the easy throws. I mean, you look at some of the sacks last week, there were guys who were, you know, wide open on short crossing patterns right over the middle of the field. It's like, hey, you know what, just get rid of the ball. And I certainly understand, look, sometimes your read isn't going to take you there right away, but you got to have a better feel for that, especially when it comes to having some pressure or even, you know, ducking yourself into pressure. You take some of those easy throws, and that game might, you know, ends up being more of a blowout. And again, I think it comes down to just, you know, you don't always have to force the ball down the field. You know, obviously you've got an absolute freak of nature in A.J. Brown who can do anything you want out of a football player on the field. and giving him some of those deep shots is great and all. But, because this offense is so balanced and because Hurts is so efficient at managing, the run and the pass game together, or marrying up the run and pass game together, all he needs to do is just make those simple throws. And this offense, I think, is going to click at an extremely higher level than it has been.
You mentioned A.J. Brown. He did have 2 drops in the game on Sunday. A.J. Brown says he's feeling better this week than he's felt in recent weeks. Is it fair to say that maybe, in our analysis of the Eagles, we didn't factor in that A.J. Brown's knee issue, injury, whatever you want to call it, has maybe impacted this offense more than we credited previously?
I think that's certainly possible, especially because he relies on physicality so much, and that's a guy who is never going to shy away from impact. He wants to deliver the pain, which you love to see out of a skill position player. He also is the type of player that once he gets into a rhythm, he's a lot harder to stop. But when he's not in a rhythm, you can kind of see him run into some of those issues, whether it's a concentration thing like a drop or what have you. So, yeah, I can see that being a factor. But, at the end of the day, excuses aren't going to help anybody if they lose. You got to start delivering. And I'm not saying that, like, he's got to rise above this injury or whatever. I'm just saying, like, if we're talking about a loss next week, nobody's going to sit here and feel bad for the Eagles because A.J. Brown was hurt. Like, at this point, there's a lot of guys who are hurt. You need your best players to step up.
Talking with Jeff Howe, covers the NFL for The Athletic, at Jeff P. Howe on the Twitter X platform. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. So now, looking ahead to this game, specifically the matchup, right? They say styles make fights. You mentioned how the Eagles like to play a physical style of game for 60 minutes. The last time these two teams played, it was not the same as the Eagles who they are now. So do you think Washington is built to handle basically a physical game for 60 minutes, considering the last game that they played was more of a shootout?
Yeah, and there's also the effect of, look at what happens to teams the week after they play the Lions. And I don't think what we saw last week was what we had seen out of the Lions for most of the season. And I'm not trying to sound obvious with that point. I just don't think that they were the physical, high-octane Lions. So maybe there won't be as much of an after effect for Washington. But I think, just looking at this matchup, I keep going back and forth. My head tells me everything on paper favors the Eagles. I mean, because of everything we've already mentioned, the experience, the toughness, the fact that they have such a great running game. The defense is terrific. I think the defense is going to play at a much higher level than what we saw out of Detroit last week. But then everything that I've seen out of Washington the last 2 weeks, beating Detroit, beating Tampa, they've had 16 possessions in the postseason, excluding kneel downs before the end of halves. And Jaden Daniels has gotten them into scoring range in 15 of them. They've had one punt. They've had, I think, one missed field goal. So they're operating at such a high level. And then you kind of look at the last time these teams played, I think it was 36-33. And I think it's hard to kind of differentiate. Part of me says, okay, well, how much better can the Eagles play offensively than they did with Kenny Pickett taking over for Jalen Hurts when he went down? But the other part is well, you know what? They're probably going to manage the game differently, too, if they have Hurts under center throughout that game. Maybe they take some different chances on defense or whatever. Maybe the game plays out differently. There was also the turnover battle. I believe the Eagles won that 5-2, if memory serves, in that game. Okay. So, that part is also well, you're probably not going to win the turnover battle 5-2 in this game. If you do, you should blow them out. But it's a little concerning that they won the turnover battle 5-2 and couldn't win the game because that's such a huge disparity. And then, another, I believe, again, I wish I stepped away from my computer because I'm not that smart. If I had my computer in front of me right now, I could double check this number, but I believe both teams have a 6-0 edge in the turnover battle in both postseason games. Yep. So both teams are playing at a very high efficiency level. So, man, I'm telling, I can't separate myself, what part of this analysis is ultimately going to win out, because I can talk myself into either outcome with these two teams. And you know what? I think that's great. That should make for a great Sunday of football.
What's interesting about that last game as well is that, what I at least in my opinion, I don't think it's brought up enough, is that C.J. Gardner-Johnson got thrown out of that game, Jeff. And for the moment he got thrown out, Washington outscored Philadelphia 22-0 down the stretch. And you got to think that a guy like C.J. who says, I was at fault for that game, I can't wait to play these guys again. The fact that these Eagle players looked back at that game, especially the defensive players, and say, we are glad we're facing Washington. There might be a little bit of, hey, Washington, you've had a great run, but you might have run into the Eagles in the wrong situation.
Well, and when it comes from a guy like C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who, is one of the most fiery players, one of the best leaders, especially on defense in the entire league, a guy who does not ever need to look too far to find motivation on any given Sunday. That's going to say a lot about their mentality. He has this effect on every team that he plays for, and it's clearly been the case. He's been one of the most valuable additions on defense across the league, and he's such a great player, and that attitude rubs off on everybody. And it's cool to see when a player, especially on defense, especially on the back end of the defense, can have that impact on the rest of the locker room, because it's real. That's who he is. He's one of my favorite players to watch in the league because he has just such an edge to his game. And again, you see that carry over with the rest of his teammates.
Ultimately in this game, Jeff, if I were to tell you that Saquon Barkley, who has 147 rushing yards, 150 rushing yards in his last two games against Washington, if he hits those numbers, his average, right? Which, by the way, if he hits his average, he'll break the Terrell Davis all-time record of regular season and postseason rushing, which is crazy. But if Saquon hits his averages against Washington, are we talking about the Eagles in the Super Bowl?
Oh, man, that kind of goes back to, a couple answers ago when it's like, I expect him to hit those averages. I fully believe that's going to happen because you just look at the evidence, you look at how they've run the ball, not just against Washington twice this season, but against everybody. So, he's going to run for 150 yards, and it's probably going to be a whole lot closer to 200. So I think you have to factor that in. If you're Washington, you have to expect Saquon Barkley is going to have a really good game, and you're going to have to figure out a way to beat them in spite of that. So I wouldn't necessarily say that Saquon rushing for 150 is the key to them winning the game. I think, really it's going to come down to, are you going to make mistakes in the passing game? Is Jalen Hurts going to make the easy plays that are right there in front of him? I think that's going to be a bigger factor because, again, I think you can just put in the 150 for Saquon right now, and you just got to figure out the rest of the stuff that's going to fall into place around it.
Talking with Jeff Howe, senior NFL insider for The Athletic, joining us here on 97.3 ESPN. Jeff, let's flip it over to the other game in NFL Championship Sunday. There's so many analogies you can make for this. The unstoppable force versus the immovable object. Superman versus the evil empire. There's so much to this Bills-Chiefs matchup. For you, what has been your favorite storyline leading up to this, what seems almost like an inevitable showdown?
It's more on the Buffalo side, just because I think we're all so used to Kansas City being at this point. And, you mentioned off the top, I covered the Patriots from 2009 through the Cam Newton, Mac Jones quarterback battle, if you want to use that word, in 2021.
Bless your heart.
Yeah, exactly. So before I move to the more the national role, but I'm starting to see when you're in it and you're covering it, you're seeing these guys every single day, and you see what makes them tick. It's really cool to kind of have that insider's perspective as to what makes a team so successful year over year. But now that you're sort of more of an outsider and you're looking at the Chiefs, I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of see why everybody couldn't stay on the Patriots for so long, because they're just always there. They're inevitable. And the Chiefs have reached that point. You look at the way that they've won more than half of their games this season. You look at some of the botched snap with Vegas, the blocked field goal with Denver. There's a handful of examples. There's 7 or 8 games that came down to the wire where something ridiculous had to happen for the Chiefs to win that game, and it did. And you look at 16 consecutive wins in one possession games. the percentages at some point you would think are going to even out. Maybe it won't be Sunday. Maybe it won't be until the year like 2040 when Patrick Mahomes is like 60 years old or something like that. But like at this point, it's supposed to be Buffalo's year. And the way that Josh Allen has had, you look at the way that the all-pro voting has kind of played out. It's looking like Lamar Jackson's probably going to steal the MVP from Josh Allen. But the MVP moments that he's had this season, I think it started in week 11 or 12 whenever they beat Kansas City. And you look at that 4th and 2 touchdown run from like 28 yards out or whatever it was. I mean, that was an MVP kind of moment. He's had a bunch of them. You look at the Rams game that they lost, but the amount of plays that Josh Allen made to continuously put the pressure on the Rams to keep coming back and scoring. You look at, even like you see the stuff where he was credited with the receiving touchdown in the national television game. I can't remember if that was a Sunday night or a Monday night, but like just like the weird stuff that kind of comes that is happening, that is falling in his favor. But like, they've won 4 in a row against the Chiefs in the regular season. They've lost 3 in a row in the playoffs to the Mahomes Chiefs. So like what Buffalo team are we going to see? And is Josh Allen going to have to do it all? Because I think their defense is leaking a little bit. And if they put the pressure on Josh Allen to have to go out and score 30 points against this Kansas City defense, I don't know if they're going to have it in them. I think eventually you're going to run into a mistake because Kansas City's defense is playing so well. But man, it's a cool story because Buffalo has gotten so close. They've retooled, they've changed their team building in order to try to catch Kansas City because they got older, they got a little slower, and they probably even exceeded their own expectations, at least defensively. But now it's, can you get over the hump? I wrote a story about a week or two ago about the Chiefs' effect and when they've built their dynasty, the impacts that it's had on teams like the Bills or Joe Burrow and the Bengals or Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers, stopping them from creating their own legacies. And there's still time for these teams to rewrite their own stories. But it's one of the quotes that stuck out to me was a coach was saying, like, it's not that the Bills aren't a really good team. They just haven't beaten the best team. And now they get another crack at Kansas City. And for a team to kind of get over that hump, to rewrite its own journey, it's cool to see them have the opportunity to have a chance to go through Kansas City to be able to do that. It's just one of those things where when you get that close, you want to have that validation. You want to be able to slay that giant that's been giving you nightmares for a half decade. And if they're able to do it, it's gonna make for a really interesting Super Bowl week.
You mentioned about how the Chiefs seem inevitable, and it goes in my mind as a comic book geek to the fact that Thanos said he was inevitable. Well, Thanos eventually he got the snap the first time, but the second time he lost to the Avengers. So, is there something that the Bills can do to not make the Chiefs win this Sunday inevitable? Like, what is something about the Chiefs or the Bills that when we're back in the day, I full disclosure, my first job before radio is I was a freelance newspaper writer. So like when you're writing the headline the next morning, when you're writing the caption, what is the reason why the Bills got to the Chiefs?
No turnovers. You can't give the Chiefs any bonus points. You can't give them any short fields off of a special teams mistake. You can't. Again, I think I think this is going to be a game that's probably going to be in the low 20s for both teams. It's going to come down to teams. But, like, you sit there and you say, what more can you do? I mean, Josh Allen walked off the field last year with the lead and never touched the ball again. You look at the 13-second game, a couple of years before that. What more could he have done? They just couldn't stop Patrick Mahomes. And everything that we've seen, I mentioned all the weird wins that they've had. Now, they've gone out and earned them. These aren't flukes. When you're a championship-level team, when you're a Super Bowl team, when you're a dynasty like the Chiefs, these things aren't an accident. They win these games because they know how to win these games, and their opponents don't. And their opponents get into their heads and they do dumb things, or they overthink something. They overthink a scenario. The Bills can't do any of that. They have to play smart football. They have to play mistake-free football. and they're good enough to beat the Chiefs. We've seen that already in the regular season. The postseason's an entirely different giant. It's just, can they get out of their own heads? And if they're able to play free and play fast, I'm not trying to give the coach speak cliches or whatever, but I think it really comes down to that simple, fundamental stuff that has led to their regular season success, but hasn't quite translated to the playoffs. Just don't make any dumb mistakes.
He's Jeff Howe. Give him a follow on Twitter's platform at Jeff P. Howe. Check out all of his coverage of the NFL at The Athletic, and he joined us right here on 97.3 ESPN. Jeff, great insights. I appreciate you jumping on, and enjoy the games on Sunday.
Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate you having me. Have a great weekend.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill live in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios here on 97.3 ESPN. We'll check back in on the text board coming up next, 609-403-0973. Jeff from Ocean City, Luke from Atlantic City, Shaner in Mays Landing, your messages and more coming up. And don't forget, in about less than 20 minutes from now, John McMullen, Eagles insider, will join us with the latest from Eagles practice.
It's the NFC Championship game this Sunday as the Eagles host their NFC East rivals, the Washington Commanders.
He breaks a tackle. He's on his way. Here he goes. He's at the 40, 30, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown! Saquon Barkley!
Pre-game coverage starts at 2 p.m. South Jersey's official home for Eagles playoff football. 97.3 ESPN. South Jersey's home of Super Bowl 59.
Take the winning drive to RK Kia of Vineland, where you get RK coverage, no charge. RK does it right. RK Kia of Vineland. MyRKKia.com.
Shop now at the Home Depot and get up to 35% off select appliances. Plus, save up to an extra $400 on select appliances like Frigidaire. From the stainless steel French door refrigerator with crisp steel drawers to keep produce fresh longer, to the 5-burner electric range that lets you cook more at once and get meals on the table faster. Right now, get up to 35% off select appliances like Frigidaire. The Home Depot. How doers get more done. Pricing valid January 9th through January 29th. U.S. only. See store online for details. Minimum purchase required.
Are you looking for a rewarding career where you can make a difference every day? Apply today to join the Camden County Police Department.
Our officers work to protect and serve Camden County.
We need people like you to continue our mission.
It's one of the top-ranked police forces in America. We lead by example through our unwavering commitment to our community. And because our officers are the key to building safer, stronger neighborhoods.
We offer competitive pay throughout training, high starting salaries, and excellent benefits.
Rise to the challenge and be part of the next generation of police. Apply today at CamdenCountyPD.org.
Progressive knows finding your new home was a dream come true. You wanted a walk-up with central air and a skylight, and you found it. Now, every Friday night, you get to fall asleep to the sound of your downstairs neighbors' dance parties. Progressive can't save you from your noisy neighbors, but we can save you money when you bundle your home and auto with us. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text LION to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text LION to 42424. That's LION to 42424.
Breaking news, and this one is almost...
Things can start feeling the same. Wake up,
brush teeth, go to work. But with breakfast from Wendy's, it's like, wake up, brush teeth, Baconate with a breakfast Baconator. Roll with the sausage breakfast burrito. Buddy it up with a Honey Buddy. Or get seasoned with seasoned potatoes. And then go to work. Sorry. When you're ready for a fresh wake-up call, gotta be Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
Now Taxes is using Credit Karma, where TurboTax Expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get your refund, so you can do more with it right in Credit Karma. Now this is taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. See guaranteed details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers, excludes Traverse and Corvette, excludes prior sales.
Start the new year right in a new Chevy from Bennett, where we sell new Chevys at the true GM supplier employee price. Yeah, you pay what our employees pay, not a penny more. Plus, at Bennett Chevrolet, you keep all the rebates. That's incredible. That's right, you save both ways, saving you up to 20% off the sticker. But it gets even better, because right now there's available 0.9% financing, saving you even more. 0.9. And get this, if you're looking for a pre-owned, Bennett Chevy will pay you a minimum $10,000 for any old clunker you can get here towards any pre-owned in stock. You'll get at least 10 grand for total junk. Imagine how much you'll get for a good trade. And one more thing, Bennett's sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. That makes a huge difference. No hype, no pressure. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
You're listening to The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
All right, before we wrap up the 2 o'clock hour here on 97.3 ESPN, being brought to you by Autumn Lake Healthcare Centers, skilled nursing rehabilitation with elite level care in a warm and vibrant atmosphere. Visit autumnlakehealthcare.com, the final location near you. I want to squeeze in some of your guys' thoughts and comments on the text board at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Max in Ventnor chimes in. It's the Commanders D coordinator making that comment. Also gets the referees ready to throw a flag anytime someone gets near hurt. Stupid comment for so many reasons. That's Max in Ventnor. Yeah, that's why I said, it had to be like a macho or ego thing for that guy because, if Billy didn't see the video, he's wearing a hat that says defense travels when he says it. And all I kept thinking was, bro, your defense hasn't traveled all year. You're bottom 10 in the NFL in almost every single defensive category. Like, back off the machismo, man. Yeah, definitely a dumb comment by him. Luke in Atlantic City says, they say bold prediction. How about Saquon going for 250, breaks Dickerson's playoff single game record, and the total by Terrell Davis. Well, he needs 148. If he goes for 250, I think a lot of people will be shocked. Not as much because I don't think Saquon can't go for 250, but because I think the Philadelphia Eagles want to get out to a lead and then bleed clock, and there won't be as many opportunities for him to go for the big runs as they bleed the clock. And remember, he had a chance to go score a touchdown versus the Packers, and he held up. So I wouldn't be surprised if Barkley gets to a certain point on the field when they're burning the clock and just backs off. Jeff from Ocean City chimes in, says Devontae Smith makes an easy catch. The Eagles run the clock and beat Washington back in December. It is very true. The Eagles have lost 2 games because guys who should catch balls don't. Devontae Smith probably makes that catch 99 out of 100 times. That was the one time he dropped it. Saquon dropping the ball against the Falcons. Saquon should have made that catch. It was right on his hands. He didn't. And the Eagles lose both those games. I know we don't like to play in the what if, could have, blah, blah, blah game, but there is a legitimate argument to be made that Philadelphia Eagles would have been the number 1 seed if guys catch the ball. Yeah, I think there's a lot of, and again, I'm not trying to point the finger at anyone particularly because there's too many people to name. But I think there's a lot of people in the sports media universe who didn't watch the Eagles-Commanders game in December and don't actually know what happened in the game. And now they're making these general presumptions about this matchup this Sunday. John McMullen coming up next.
It's Sixers basketball tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Yabusele in, Maxey for three. It's up and good. Oh, yeah! He's been known with the prolific fourth quarters.
It's Sixers Cavs tonight. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. It's Sixers basketball all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia 76ers basketball. 97.3 ESPN.
Hey, AI, how many touchdowns did the Eagles score in the 2023 season?
The Eagles scored 49 touchdowns in the 2023 season.
Hey, AI, I had a fall recently. I need to recover. Please help me walk again.
I'm sorry, but that is beyond my capabilities.
Hey, AI, my parents are getting older and I can't care for them by myself. Can you help me care for them?
I'm sorry, that is beyond my capabilities. AI will never replace care, but here's what I found for the best care near you.
Autumn Lake Healthcare Centers, trusted leaders in skilled nursing rehabilitation and senior care, and proud partners of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, by the way, Ivan's no longer on the project. His wife got a new job, so they're moving across the country.
Robin's top researcher is deviating to a new market. This isn't standard.
And now we're short-staffed. Who's going to finish all these projects?
She needs a cluster of new data analysts, and there's no margin for error.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Trust Jenkins Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, where one call does it all. From leaks and stoppages to full renovations, Jenkins has been the go-to choice since 1949. Renovating your kitchen or bath? Call Jenkins. Need new heating or air conditioning installation, service, or maintenance? They do that too. Jenkins handles it all. Ductless air systems, water heaters, boilers, oil service, plumbing, drain cleaning, and even water or sewer main repairs. Call 609-641-6262 or visit jenkinsandsons.com.
Hey, it's Mike Gill from the Sports Bash. The action is heating up this playoff season at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Lock in your touchdown picks, check out trending parlays, and increase your winning with profit boosts. New customers can bet $10 to get $100 in bonus bets and unlock 30 days of ESPN Plus. Download the ESPN Bet Sportsbook app and sign up with the promo code RADIO100. That's RADIO100 to get started today. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Where can you kick off the new year with big savings on gig speed? Only with Xfinity, now through January 30th. Get gig internet at home for $25 a month for 1 year when you add an unlimited mobile line, which connects you to gig speed Wi-Fi on the road. Act fast today and save more than $650 over AT&T and Verizon in your first year. Plus, hurry and take advantage because right now you can also get a free 5G phone with trade-in. So save big and stay connected to what you love with fast gig speed internet and mobile. From home to hotspots, this new year, it's all about gig speeds and big savings. Don't wait and get gig speed internet. Spend less green and switch to Xfinity. Go to Xfinity.com/gig savings to learn more. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. $40 internet discount applied to mobile bill. After promo, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. Savings compared to Verizon Fiber Gig Plus 1 Unlimited Welcome Line and AT&T Fiber Gig Plus 1 Unlimited Starter Line. Xfinity internet required. Reduced speeds after 30 gigabits of usage per line. Data thresholds and actual savings vary.
The Home Depot has up to 35% off select appliances like Samsung, ranked #1 in customer satisfaction. Shop the mega capacity 3-door French door refrigerator with 4 types of ice to chill your drink faster. Or the 5-burner electric range with no preheat air fry for healthier, crispy food all in your oven. Right now, get up to 35% off select appliances at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Visit jdpower.com/awards for more details. Pricing valid January 9th through January 29th. U.S. only. See store online for details.
Winter savings are heating up at BMW of Atlantic City. With an incredible selection and dropping interest rates, there's never been a better time to buy. Plus, qualified buyers pay nothing for 90 days with approved credit. Their expert team is ready to help you find your perfect BMW with personalized service that puts you first. Visit BMWAtlanticCity.com or stop by today. BMW of Atlantic City, your trusted destination for
exceptional BMW savings this season. No payments for 90 days requires approved credit. See dealer for complete details.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They've got him. It's a sack.
Sixers.
Oh, baby.
And Flyers.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD. Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Mike Gill.
For me, I understand the environment it's going to be. I understand how I'm going to be receptive this time versus last time probably because they got a lot at stake as well. Everyone knows how I feel about that building, the people in that building, the people in that community. Our foundation is still doing work out there for a reason. But at the same time, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that we're giving ourselves a chance to win the football game. When the whistle blows, it's not going to be about the previous 9 years that I had there. But I'm not going out there with the chip on my shoulder or trying to prove people X, Y, or Z.
Former Eagles tight end Zach Ertz knows exactly what he's walking into this Sunday at Lincoln Financial Field when the Eagles host the Washington Commanders. It's very interesting because Ertz, as the season progressed, has become more of a important role player in the Washington offense. And now coming back to Philadelphia, there's no going to be sunshine and rainbows. He knows he's in for a fight. But is he in for how much of a fight? Speaking of Eagles tight ends, we got some good news a little bit ago. Dallas Goedert told the media that he expects to play on Sunday, and apparently, even though he didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday, he's expected to play all week. Funny how that works. As I said an hour ago here on 97.3 ESPN, Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash. You know, it's one of those deals where, we'll ask John McMullen about this when he joins us in a couple minutes. You know, sometimes these teams have these planned days off. There's strategic ways that they say, hey, you're not going to practice these days. We're going to have you do other things like ride a bike or whatever. And that'll get you, physically conditioned for the game on Sunday. And again, he was at practice inside the bubble at the NovaCare Center. So I'm going to assume that was probably the plan all week. The plan for him was you're not going to practice outside Wednesday, Thursday. Told you guys the other day, the impact of cold weather on guys' bodies and injuries is a very important key to these conversations about recovery and their preparedness for game day. So when you look at the Eagles, Dallas Goedert looks like he's going to play. Cam Jurgens declined to talk to the media because he said he had to go get treatment. So without seeing the Eagles injury report yet, my working assumption right now is that you're going to have probably Goddard's going to be good to go. They're going to list Jurgens as questionable, but he's going to play. They're just going to put the designation on there just to kind of like a just in case. He wakes up Sunday morning and his back locks up on him kind of deal. So you got that going on. The other interesting story coming out of this, two more things before we get to John McMullen. He'll join us in a couple minutes here as he's walking out of the locker room at the NovaCare Center. Jalen Hurts told the media that his knee is progressing like Coach said. So he gives Sirianni a little bit of credit there. He says he anticipates wearing the knee brace on Sunday. And again, as I told you guys last time, Jalen Hurts wore a knee brace for multiple games, was a 3-game stretch in 2023 versus the Dolphins, Commanders, and Cowboys. He compiled 8 touchdowns, 1 interception, 75% completion percentage, 268 yards per game. So him not being as mobile is not always a detriment for the Eagles. The final little tidbit that's kind of come out of the locker room today, and this story I think is going to be something to monitor. And I'm going to be very curious to see why Darius Slay. Now, I am not accusing anyone of false reporting. I'm not that guy. But it's a very odd conversation to be suddenly revealed on a Friday before the NFC Championship game. So, and I'm only crediting it because I haven't seen this anywhere else. I've seen it retweeted by people, but I haven't seen anybody else confirming this report. So Ashlyn Sullivan of NBC Sports Philadelphia has put out the report that she had a conversation with Darius Slay this week, and that he is 85% towards playing one more season, but, quote, understands it most likely will not be with the Eagles. She goes on to report that when she asked Slay about potentially playing in his last home game, he said he's not going to get caught up in the future. Slay confirms he will definitely not play more than 13 seasons. So next year, no matter what, will be his last season. And that he looks forward to in the future watching Eagle games from the box. So a couple of things there. Number one, I'm someone who listens to Slay's podcast every single week. Okay? You know, one of the jokes that Mike Gill has on the Sports Bash here is that I listen to all the player podcasts. And I do. I enjoy kind of like diving into their thoughts and perspectives on things. Whether I agree with some of those perspectives or not, it's a different story. But for Slay not to mention anything about this on his podcast, but then all of a sudden mention it to Ashlyn Sullivan at a random point before the NFC Championship game feels like a very odd deal, number one. So, again, I'm not saying she's lying, but for a player to reveal that to a reporter and to, for lack of a better term, to not actually give that breaking news on their own podcast, very odd. I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's a lie. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying it's interesting. Okay? I'm just saying it's not exactly the source of what I expected. So we're going to get deeper into the Eagles now. He just came out of the locker room. John McMullen, Birds 365 on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Of course, he covers the Eagles as well as the NFL for Sports Illustrated. And he joins us each week throughout the Eagles season right now on 97.3 ESPN. John, welcome in. I'm sure you're as happy as anyone that we are basically 48 hours or less away from the start of this game on Sunday.
Yeah, it's always interesting, and it gets even worse if they win because then you got the extra week. So a little paralysis by overanalysis, but this is it. Last preparation. I'll have a walkthrough tomorrow, but obviously that's closed to the media. So
right.
Last practice today, Cam Jurgens and Dallas Goedert were able to get back. Very short practice, didn't do much, but the indication is that Dallas is certainly playing. He verbalized that today. Cam declined to talk because he was headed to treatment, but the indication he gets from his teammates is that he's going to try to play. So it becomes, and to a lesser degree, Jalen Hurts and Quinyon Mitchell, because we knew they were playing. But
right.
With all of these players, it's they're not 100%, so you got to kind of see where they are when they get out there.
So that kind of brings me to one of my questions I want to bring up to you, because I was kind of explaining this to the audience, and I think you could verbalize this better than I can, John, which is, I thought it was very planned by the Eagles to say, hey, we're practicing outdoors, so Goddard and Jurgens are not going to practice those days. But now that we're back inside the NovaCare bubble, they can practice on Friday. So that seems like a lot of pre-planned setup by the Eagles. Is that fair?
No, I don't think that had anything to do with the injuries. I think it was more of, obviously, and if you go back even a week before the Rams, it's been very cold in the area, and the practice fields are frozen at the NovaCare complex, and they had been practicing at Lincoln Financial Field.
Okay.
And today is more of an hour, and it actually went less than an hour, probably 50 minutes, so very small practice, and the thought was just that, why are we taking these buses over for 45, 50 minutes. I think it had more to do with that than anything else. And the practice fields are still too frozen outside, so they went inside. I don't think that had anything to do with Cam or Dallas.
Gotcha. Well, obviously Juergens, what they're describing as a back on the injury report. We saw Landon Dickerson getting snaps at practice yesterday. I just wanted to get your thoughts on, and obviously we don't hope for this to happen, but, if Juergens does wake up on Sunday and his back locks up, the plan would be for what? Dickerson to be the center and Steen to be left guard?
Yeah, that's how they would approach it. And who knows, maybe even have to do it in game. But, Landon's a big-time center. For those who don't know, he actually played center at Alabama.
All-American.
All-American. And he was drafted. People forget there were so many heir apparents to Jason Kelsey. You really got to go back to Isaac Seumalo, who was drafted to be his heir apparent. Landon was drafted to be his heir apparent. And then in his rookie year, you remember injury first to Brandon Brooks, who was playing right guard at the time, and that forced him into the lineup. And then Isaac Seumalo at left guard, and he flipped over to play left guard, and he ultimately was so good, they didn't want to move him, and they ended up drafting Cam Juergens, who finally was the heir apparent to Jason Kelsey, but he's a big-time center. So, I think I told you yesterday on the show, or Ryan, and I wouldn't be worried about center. I'd be worried about left guard. That's where the drop-off would be, because Landon is, he's a big-time offensive lineman in this league, whether he's playing guard or center.
Yeah, I chuckled when Lane Johnson said that he's the strongest boy in the country and that he can do whatever he wants. So it made me chuckle a little bit because Lane kind of just
country said the county, the old county fair.
Yeah, the county fair. Yeah, but it made me laugh because Lane's basically basically kind of what you're saying is like, look, we're not worried about Landon, kind of thing.
Yeah. Landon, like I said, he was a better college center than Cam.
It's true.
To be honest, he would have been a first-round pick if he had not torn his ACL.
Yep.
And he tore his ACL in the SEC championship game, and which is obviously very late in the season, and he still was picked 37th. So he was a big-time prospect. Would have been a first-round pick as a center if he had not torn his ACL.
Talking with John McMullen, Birds 365 on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, at JF McMullen on the Twitter X platform, and of course covers the Eagles NFL as well for Sports Illustrated. John, one of the conversations obviously being had this week is this is the third time these teams are playing. I know that for some of the Eagle players, they have expressed that, hey, we like the fact we're playing Washington because there's a lot of guys who felt like they should have beat them in the last matchup. Is that the vibe you're getting from the locker room, that the guys are, for lack of a better way of saying it more politely, they're looking forward to facing off with this team again?
I get more of the impression that it's about the Eagles. They kind of feel like if they play their game, they're gonna win. So they're kind of hyper focused on, it's about them, not the opponent, and that's how I think the approach is. So, I think, this is the third, as I described it, the third championship game, obviously, in 8 years, but this is actually a lesser talented team than Minnesota in 2017, and that game was 38-7.
Right.
And which would have been the 2018 championship game. And then the 23 championship game, San Francisco was really talented, and they lost 31-7 because Hassan Reddick wrecked the game. So this is actually, of the three teams at the moment, this is probably the lesser talented of the three. But then again, and people, I don't want people to expect 38-7 or 31-7 because it's rare you have to have the right circumstances to have a blowout like that. And if you played those games 10 times, maybe they wouldn't be blowouts. So, but, you know, Washington's got to be careful in this one because the Eagles are the much more talented team from 1 to 53.
Obviously, one of the matchups, John, coming into this game, people are going to be very curious about to see when it comes, at least for the Eagles side of things. We know that Saquon got 150, 147 against Washington previously, and Washington, they just allowed 200 rushing yards to the Lions. So is it as simple as let Saquon do what he's doing, don't turn the ball over, and you beat the Commanders?
Yeah, probably. I mean, the Eagles kind of believe that if they don't turn it over, they're going to win no matter what, no matter how it looks. But, yeah, I mean, they've been what they are offensively for a long time now, basically since week 5. So I don't think it's changing. But you do have to have some concern because if you go to the second game against Washington, Jalen got hurt 6 minutes into the game or whatever it was. And, you know, Saquon did have the one long run after Jalen left, but the second half, they really clamped down and the Eagles couldn't run the ball without the +1 impact really of Jalen Hurts. So got to see if Jalen is healthy. He's not going to be healthy, completely healthy. He's going to wear a brace. He did confirm that today. So how mobile is he going to be? You know, if Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu figure out, all right, we don't have to worry about him pulling the football, you know, then it becomes much more difficult for Saquon. And maybe you have to go a little bit in a different direction. But I don't think the Eagles go in thinking that way. They're going to have to see they think they can run the ball on anybody. So, and it's hard to argue with them at this point.
Absolutely. And John, to that point, you know, we did see some moments in the game on Sunday where, you know, how Eagle fans are, you know, they want to question everything, right? Well, you know, what can the Eagles learn from what they did or didn't do versus the Rams and bring it into this game versus the Commanders?
Well, I think, you know, some of the stuff is obvious. I mean, Keim missed 2 extra points and you know.
Sure.
That gave the Rams an opportunity to win the game at the end. They didn't obviously finish drives, and they need to do a better job of that after the fumbles in the second half, which made it much more difficult. And that's, you know, what we've been talking about for 3 months is, you know, you have this group, I think, of fans that say, well, they're running the football. They have the number 1 defense. You know, it doesn't matter. But it does matter when it comes to the margin of error, which I always talk about. That's what you're trying to increase. Anybody can win any way. Let's go back to the Green Bay playoff game when they beat San Francisco on a block punt. You can win a game on a block punt. I wouldn't count on it. You're not going to do it consistently. So that's what you're trying to do as an offense. You're trying to increase your margin of error. And, you know, bottom line is Matthew Stafford had the ball at the 13-yard line with over a minute left with a chance to steal that game. And if it went in a different direction, I think people would be losing their minds.
Right.
With how poor that passing game was against the Rams, 65 net yards. But it's hard to be honest with yourself when you're winning. I think the Eagles are honest with themselves behind the scenes because they've been trying to fix this for a long time. And they haven't been able to do it consistently, but, you know, they'll continue to do it. But, you know, at this point, they only got to get through 8 more quarters. So they're not changing. They're going to lean on the running game and the defense, but, you know, if Jalen's health impacts things, that could keep Washington in the game.
John, you mentioned the defense. That's where I want to get to you a couple more before I let you go. Jalen Carter, he's going to be going against the backup for Washington. Cosme is out. He's arguably Washington's best offensive lineman. And so now Carter is going to have a guy early in the game where he could potentially dictate the pace of this game. Do you think the Eagles are going to try to attack that interior line of Washington early on Sunday?
Well, yeah. Sam Cosme is probably their best offensive lineman, so that's a big loss for them. But even you would expect, in some ways, I mean, this is a Cliff Kingsbury thing. He's got to give Jalen Carter the Aaron Donald treatment. So, and that means he should not see one snap where he's not double teamed. They should be sliding protection. And obviously he's got a very mobile quarterback. He's got to move the pocket around because, if it's one-on-one, he's going to wreck the game. And Cliff's going to have a lot to answer to. In some ways, it might, in a weird way, it might be a silver lining for Washington because they might think they could get away with it a little bit with Cosme, and they probably couldn't, even if Cosme played. And now they probably know, all right, we got to slide protection every single snap. I mean, and when I say every single snap, it's Aaron Donald rule. Every single snap.
We know Jalen Carter was the most double-teamed guy on defense in the NFL this year, John, so that's not something he's had to deal with enough. But I will say I was watching a film breakdown from Ross Tucker and Bo Allen, and they were explaining that, at the end of the Rams-Eagles game when Jalen Carter got those two big plays, that there was a huge miscommunication between the center and the guard, and then the guard and the tackle, where they were going the wrong directions multiple plays. So I am just curious, if two guys who've been playing next to each other for most of the year, like the Rams have that miscommunication, I'm assuming that a second string guard next to the center could potentially have the same miscommunications.
That's possible. I mean, that's offensive line. A lot of it is communication related. Same thing with the secondary. A lot of communication, and you see breakdowns and blown coverages. Same thing with the offensive line. So yeah, that's it's always a chance, and you'll know if it happens because if he's got one-on-one, he's gonna win more often than not, especially against a backup level player. So yeah, one of the things is the Rams had a rookie center. Tyler Biadasz is the commander center, veteran guy, knows how to do it, so that should probably help. So it might be a little bit better from their perspective because generally the center is the one who takes that lead, and if there is communications issues, it's probably going to be on them, but not always. And yeah, they better get it right because if they don't get it right, it's going to be a long day.
John, before I let you go, the other storyline coming into this game, of course, the last time the Eagles played Washington, C.J. Gardner-Johnson gets thrown out of the game. Washington scores 22 points after that point on. C.J. Gardner-Johnson has admitted that he took the blame for the loss. What is that storyline going into this game about the Eagles secondary rematching with Washington?
Yeah, I don't think much. I mean, CJ kind of understands he made a mistake, and he's verbalized that a couple times. And, he's too important to the defense to be doing that. I think, as often in the NFL, a lot of people don't understand the rules. Unsportsmanlike conduct calls are automatic ejections. There's no waiver room. So if you get one, you have to know that as a veteran player. All right, you get another one, you're out. So you got to be very cognizant of it. And he seems to have learned from it, as I said. So I wouldn't be concerned with that part of it at all.
All right, John, before I let you go, I got to do my best Mike Gill imitation, which is, what is your pick for the game on Sunday? Who do you think is going to win?
Yeah, I just think the Eagles would have to make a lot of mistakes. I think the Eagles are going to win the game, and if they don't win the game, they're going to beat themselves. I don't think the Washington Commanders are going to beat them. So, as I said, of these 3 championship games, and I've covered the first 2, and this will be the third. This is the one where they're the clearly, definitively better team. But while I say that, I don't expect 38-7 or 31-7. So I think it'll be closer than that, partially because of the way the Eagles are playing this year, which kind of allows teams to stay in the game with them. So I'm looking for a 27-22 type Eagles win, maybe a late Washington touchdown, though. Shouldn't be that close, but it'll look closer on paper.
John McMullen at JF McMullen on the Twitter X platform. Of course, Birds 365 on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, and all of his Eagles NFL coverage with Sports Illustrated. John, great stuff today. Appreciate you jumping on. And we will be talking to you again on Monday about what happens in the NFC Championship game.
All right, Josh. Thanks, bud.
And, of course, John McMullen's appearance here on the Sports Bash brought to you by Boardwalk Honda. Stop in and take advantage of game-changing savings all month long at BoardwalkHonda.com. Coming up on the other side, we'll get your guys' thoughts and comments on the text board, 609-403-0973. Who do you think is going to win on Sunday? What is your score? Who are your players to watch for the game? You tell me how you guys are feeling going into the game. We'll do that coming up, plus some perspectives on how the betting is going for Championship Sunday. I got some numbers for you guys to chew on coming up next. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Of course, we're filling in for Mike Gill on a happy hour Friday edition of The Bash on 97.3 live in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Go get your game on at the Gallery Bar, Book and Games at Ocean Casino Resort. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the Gallery, go to Fanatic Sportsbook, and go for the win at Ocean Casino Resort. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Take the winning drive to RK Kia of Vineland, where you get RK coverage, no charge. RK does it right. RK Kia of Vineland. MyRKKia.com.
For new carpet, the Home Depot is your destination. With a large assortment of affordable carpeting in the brands, styles, and colors you need. And for new carpet savings, the Home Depot also has you covered. With 10% off all special order carpeting right now. Enjoy long-lasting comfort at a great price and free installation. Offer valid January 9th through January 26th, 2025. Receive 10% off special order carpet and installation. Installation included in select markets with qualifying purchase. For licenses, see homedepot.com/license numbers.
Hey, AI, how many touchdowns did the Eagles score in the 2023 season?
The Eagles scored 49 touchdowns in the 2023 season.
Hey, AI, I had a fall recently. I need to recover. Please help me walk again.
I'm sorry, but that is beyond my capabilities.
Hey, AI, my parents are getting older and I can't care for them by myself. Can you help me care for them?
I'm sorry, that is beyond my capabilities. AI will never replace care, but here's what I found for the best care near you.
Autumn Lake Healthcare Centers, trusted leaders in skilled nursing rehabilitation and senior care, and proud partners of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hers weight loss is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions apply. Wegovy and Ozempic are not compounded.
With Hers, you can access doctor-trusted weight loss plans, like compounded GLP-1 weekly injections with the same active ingredient as Ozempic and Wegovy. Based on pricing through Hers, save up to 91% per month with compounded semaglutide, the same active ingredient as the name brand drug. Get started at forhers.com/start today. That's forhers.com/start.
So you need a new car or SUV, but you're upside down in your trade, but you're worried about your down payment, but your credit is less than perfect. Bring your butts to any Matt Blatt Kia today. With over 1,100 new Kias, all with 0 down, 0 payments until April, or get $10,000 in bonus cash, or 0% for 72 months on every clearly marked Kia EV6 and 9. Buried in a loan or lease? Matt Blatt Kia wants to get you released. New all-wheel drive Kia Sportage or Sorento. 1.9% for 60 months. Matt Blatt Kia with our PA and New Jersey Kia Superstores. Abington, Egg Harbor Township, Toms River, or right to your front door.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, $13.89 per thousand finance. Not all will qualify. Credit may affect down payment. Offers can't be combined. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes through KMF. Rebates and incentives to dealer. Expires 2/4/25. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and on Route 37 in Toms River.
Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer lets you easily compare direct rates from different insurance companies, so you can be confident you're getting the right one, even if it's not with Progressive. Way more confident than you were when you tried online gaming. Who knew 12-year-old boys could be so mean? And where did they learn to swear like that? 2 hours of losing to these underage trash talkers, and you're starting to question if maybe you really should stick to pickleball and other boomer stuff. So use Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer and be confident you're getting insurance that's right for you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Come join us to watch the NFC Championship game. We're proud to be the official sports bar of the Philadelphia Eagles. Come join us for all the Eagles playoff action and the best in-game experience anywhere. Ice cold draft beer, all of your Chicky and Pete's favorites, and of course, world famous crab fries. Perfect for Eagles playoffs. Go where the players go. The official sports bar of the Philadelphia Eagles, Chickies and Pete's.
This Sunday, the road to the big game comes through Philly. Reserve your table now at chickiesandpete's.com.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Wrap up your workday with the all-new Chickies and Pete's Happy Hour with unbeatable specials weekdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Enjoy half-price orders of Chickies meaty and tender wings, one of our tasty and delicious pizzas, or an order of mouth-watering hot, cold, or fried shrimp. Plus $3 domestic bottled beers, $5 Tito's, and $6 seltzers. It's the all-new Happy Hour, weekdays 4 to 6 p.m., only at Chickies and Pete's.
Now Taxes is using Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get your refund, so you can do more with it right in Credit Karma. Now this is taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. See guaranteed details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
Winter savings are heating up at Boardwalk Honda. With over 200 new vehicles in stock and dropping interest rates, there's never been a better time to buy. Plus, qualified buyers pay nothing for 90 days with approved credit. Our expert team is ready to help you find your perfect Honda with personalized service that puts you first. Visit BoardwalkHonda.com or stop by today. Hurry, these deals won't last. Boardwalk Honda, your trusted destination for exceptional Honda savings this season. No payments for 90 days requires approved credit. See dealer for complete details.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. We'll check back here on the text board in just a bit at 609-403-0973. But right now, we're going to get into some of the numbers for the game, both games on Sunday. Of course, you can hear both the Eagles versus Commanders and Bills versus the Chiefs right here on 97.3 ESPN. And yes, you can listen to both games on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. And of course, all of our numbers and all of our information come from my friends over at the Caesars Sportsbook. It's the only sportsbook app with Caesars rewards. I don't know about you guys, but half the reason why any of us have the perks that we do is because we're doing it for the rewards, okay? You don't sign up for that credit card. You're not signing up for that gym membership. You're not signing up for that delivery service. You're not signing up for anything unless you're getting some sort of perk or rewards out of it. And it's really anything better than Caesars Rewards. Well, that means win or lose, every bet you place brings you closer to the types of perks only Caesars can offer, like hotel stays, over 50 destinations, bonus bets in the app, dining experiences, and more, as well as game tickets. So download the app using promo code RADIO, DYW. That's RADIO, DYW, and place your first bet of $1 or more for a chance to double your winnings on your next 10 bets. Caesars Sportsbook, don't just spectate, participate. Open new users in New Jersey who are 21 or older, max bet of 25 for boosted winnings, max additional winnings, $2,500 per bet. Profit boost tokens expire 14 days after receipt. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. Or if you or someone has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. So let's look at the numbers for this game on Sunday. I'm just going to go in chronological order because I know the Eagles Commanders play first, so we'll start with them just for the sake of just going straight down the list here. So the numbers break down as of right now, and of course, some of these numbers can change as we know as we get closer to game time, but on the Caesars Sportsbook app right now, Eagles are favored by 6. The Chiefs are favored by 1.5. The over-unders right now, 47.5 for the Birds, 48.5 for the Bills and Chiefs games. So both numbers are about the same, at least the total people are expecting for the scoring. But did you know that 3 times more bettors are backing the AFC teams than the NFC teams for the Super Bowl? Yes, according to all the betting numbers coming out of Las Vegas right now, the Bills and Chiefs are the overwhelming favorites among the betting public in the Super Bowl, no matter who is on the other side. The majority of bettors are hoping for upsets in the AFC. The Bills are the outright money line bet for 70% of bettors and 64% of money staked. They are being picked by 68% of bettors to cover the spread at Caesars Sportsbook. Similarly, the Commanders are getting the majority of interest in the outright money line. 82% of sportsbook bettors at Caesars Sportsbook are picking the Commanders to either win outright or cover the spread, while just 69% are committing to just the spread for the NFC Championship game. So, 2 big takeaways from that information, for me at least. One, and thanks to Caesars Sportsbook for supplying us those odds, those information. Of course, use promo code RADIO DYW when you sign up for the Caesars Sportsbook app. If so many people are betting on Washington, why is that? Well, there was a little research done recently that found that Washington, of the 4 teams in the playoffs, is one of the most popular. And I find that very interesting because, when it comes to popularity, that's where a lot of people lose their money, okay? So our friends over at Believe Podcasting released the results of NFL Fans Survey rooting interest. There are only 3 states in America that are rooting for the Eagles in any capacity. I'm sure you can guess who those states are. New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. That's it. Meanwhile, there are multiple states rooting on the Washington Commanders. And it's more than just Maryland, West Virginia, and Virginia. It's also Louisiana, and I don't understand this part, but we'll get to it in a second. Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. There are 10 states that are rooting for the Washington Commanders. Now, I get Louisiana because Jaden Daniels, he was at LSU. But why is all of New England rooting for Washington against the Eagles? Well, I think it gets back to the fact of what Luke Kuechly was saying, that the Eagles, they win in a boring way. They're not fancy, they're not flashy. The Commanders are fun. And I think a lot of people, they have been led to believe all year the Eagles are going to fail at some point. So everyone's waiting for them to fail. And now that they haven't failed all year, well, it's kind of like the Toby Keith song, How You Like Me Now. So I think it's interesting that all this money is coming in for Washington and that so many people are just anti-Eagles going into this matchup. That I think it's blinding people's perspective. I think so many people are anti-Eagles right now that they are just completely blind to reality. You heard John McMullen say it. This is his third NFC Championship game he has covered with the Philadelphia Eagles. And in all of those NFC Championship games, he told you, this is the worst roster. Now, they have an elite quarterback, Jaden Daniels. The other two teams didn't. Brock Purdy is a good, not great quarterback. And Case Keenum, well, he's Case Keenum. He's nothing special. What's interesting about this game as well, I always like to tell you guys, are there math problems going into a game? Well, according to Caesars Sportsbook, right now, Washington Commanders are over under 21.5 points. Eagles are 26.5 points. That means two things. One, their actual real-time spread is 5 points, not 6. So, if you were to bet on the spread and take Washington, that is actually what the sportsbook thinks is going to happen. They think Washington will cover the spread. The other number of interest is 21.5 plus 26.5 equals 48. The over-under is 47.5. So again, the book is telling you that this might not be as low scoring of a game as you may think. And you heard John McMullen said the style of Eagles play leans into this maybe being a closer game than it should be. And that's why, for me, the more I look at this game, the more I look at these numbers, the more I dive deeper into them and see that for the Eagles to score over under 26.5, the odds makers are giving it a 2/3 value that they are more likely to score 26.5 or more. So that means if you were to tell me that the Eagles' score this Sunday was 28-21, that lines up, if you read between the lines, of what the numbers say of what the odds makers are telling you for the game on Sunday. Now the AFC Championship game, let's dig deeper into that. As I mentioned, we are using Caesar Sportsbook numbers. It is 1.5 is the number for the Chiefs. What is interesting about this game is, number one, when these teams have played in the past, they have typically been higher scoring affairs. This is not going to be like the Ravens game last year. It was a low scoring rock fight to the very end. I think it's going to be a higher scoring game. And I think because of that, you want to look at what do the odds makers say. Well, the odds makers are telling you that the Chiefs are going to win. Team total, 24.5. Bills, 23.5. That spread is 1 point. So it's basically a coin flip game. The hook is just to get sucker people to make a bet one way or the other. The odds makers are telling you that this is a pick'em game in terms of the numbers. And as I always tell you guys, math problems. The over-under in this game, 48.5. But the team totals add up to 49. I'm sorry, the team totals add up to 47, I should say. So again, do we look at this game? By the way, it opened at 49. It's dropped to 48. So there is money coming in on this game for the under. How much money, you might ask? Well, apparently there was a lot of sharp money coming in for the under in this game. So they've been bringing down that number. So how do we read into that? Do we take that as a signal that maybe, even though historically these teams have been higher scoring, that in this game it'll be lower scoring? Or is that a reflection of over 85% of the bets coming in for the Bills to either win outright or cover the spread? It's a very interesting conversation. I don't think there's a right answer to this, but based off of what their numbers are and the percentages they have on these, right? That this is a pick'em game. That the odds makers could see this either way. That the over-under is set at a number where it's a coin flip in terms of the value. It's a 50-50 proposition, right? I think it's very likely that this is going to be a very close game down the stretch. And probably your best bet in the game, it's probably going to be Bills Chiefs to be a close game at halftime. And if it's a close game at halftime, you're probably going to be under the first half 23-24, depending on what sportsbook you're using. At Caesars Sportsbook, it is 24. So if this is going to be a close game, it's potentially low scoring early on. So it might be a 13-10 halftime score, which would be under the 24. So that's a deeper dive look into the sports betting numbers for this Sunday's NFL Championship games, brought to you by my friends over at the Caesars Sportsbook. Of course, it's only the Caesars Sportsbook app that you get Caesars rewards. Download the app using promo code Radio DYW, and place your first bet for $1 or more for a chance to double your winnings on your next 10 bets. And of course, see Caesars.com/promos for more terms and details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Still to come, Andrew DiCecco for Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Knicks Nuggets will join us in the next hour as well. And don't forget, it is a Friday. Sal Paolantonio is back. ESPN's national NFL reporter Sal Paolantonio is back with us coming up at 5 p.m. tonight. All that and more still to come on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It's Sixers basketball tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Yabusele in, Maxey for three. It's up and good. Oh, yeah! He's been known with the prolific fourth quarters.
It's Sixers Cavs tonight. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. It's Sixers basketball all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia 76ers basketball. 97.3 ESPN.
Take the winning drive to RK Kia of Vineland. Brand new Kias under $6 a day. $6. That's less than lunch. Lee's new Kia K4 under $6 a day. Even new K5 and Sorrentos under $7 a day. Now at RK Kia. Lee's new 25 Kia K4 LXS. $6 a day. K5 LXS and Sorrento LX with third row seating under $7 a day. $7. Plus get 0% financing for 72 months. 0%. Plus you get RK coverage, no charge. Ding repair, tire repair, wheel repair, windshield repair, and more. No charge. Brand new Kias under $6 a day. Take the winning drive to RK. RK Kia of Vineland. RK does it right. MyRKKia.com. MyRKKia.com. To qualified buyers plus tax and title. For details, call 856-641-1111 or MyRKKia.com.
Presenting a Gain Flings love story. Dear love of my life, we were on the 12B bus this morning when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. Alas, I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Gain Flings. Try Gain Flings with OxyBoost and Febreze.
Hello, Jersey. This is Shaquille O'Neal. You all know Jersey is my home state, and I've got something special for you. Introducing my first ever scratch-off game, Jersey Giant Winnings, from the New Jersey Lottery, with a top prize of $200,000. And guess what? I'm officially renaming the state Shaq Jersey. You're Shaq Jerseyans now. Play the Jersey Giant Winnings scratch-off.
Must be 18 or older to buy a lottery ticket. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the...
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your...
windshield wipers. eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay, things people love.
Accomplishing goals is hard. But when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. Babbel is designed with you in mind. From expert-created lessons to conversational video units and even live classes, you can personalize your Babbel experience to be exactly what you need to really learn a new language more easily. Go ahead, set a goal for yourself. Accomplish it with Babbel. Try Babbel for free. Go to BABBEL.com. That's Babbel.com.
Flex Premium Athleisure is softness that plays hard. From the couch to the gym to the office and beyond, Flex gives you premium comfort and style that keeps up with anything without costing everything. Whether you're chasing the ball or chasing the kids, life's a workout. Flex with it. Exclusively at Kohl's. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohls.com for details.
Over 40 years ago, John Jenkins Sr. invented the heated bench for football players. Today, Jenkins Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning brings that same innovation and reliability to your home or business. Need plumbing repairs or a new gas furnace, boiler, or water heater? Ask about utility loans up to $25,000 at 0% for 7 years and rebates up to $29.50. Call 609-641-6440 or visit jenkinsandsons.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Did you know that 1 in 4 people seeking treatment for ED are under 40? HIMS can help. Get started at hims.com/joy. Through hims.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy.
Winter savings are heating up at BMW of Atlantic City. With an incredible selection and dropping interest rates, there's never been a better time to buy. Plus, qualified buyers pay nothing for 90 days with approved credit. Their expert team is ready to help you find your perfect BMW with personalized service that puts you first. Visit BMWAtlanticCity.com or stop by today. BMW of Atlantic City, your trusted destination for exceptional BMW savings this season. No payments for 90 days requires approved credit. See dealer for complete details.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
3 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash has been brought to you as always by Broadlee's Plumbing, Heating and Air Conditioning. Broadlee's is your trusted source for heating and plumbing service installation for generations. Call them at 609-390-3907 or visit them online at broadlees.net. Busy shows still to come. Andrew DiCecco coming up at the next hour. Following him will be Nick's Nuggets with Nick Earnshaw, Sal Paolantonio at 5. John Keim, who covers the Washington Commanders at 5:25. For those of you who might not be fully sure how big of a postseason this has been for Saquon Barkley, let me just document it a little bit for you guys, all right? The players with the most rushing yards in a season, including the postseason in NFL history, Saquon Barkley only needs 148 yards to break Terrell Davis's all-time record. But that's not the only record he has a chance to break, not just this weekend, potentially in the Super Bowl. Players with the most scrimmage yards in a season, including the postseason, Saquon Barkley has 2,638. He is only basically 130 away from the all-time scrimmage yards record. Terrell Davis is number 1, Marshall Faulk is number 2, and Davis is also 3. Davis in 1998 had 2,762. In 1997, he had 2,656. Marshall Faulk in 1999 had 2,686. Saquon already has 2,638. So while Eric Dickerson might be able to keep his record, Saquon Barkley is in the conversation with 2 Super Bowl winning running backs, Marshall Faulk and Terrell Davis. And it goes back to the conversation we've been having. Why do we care if Jalen Hurts throws for a lot of yards if you have a historical running back in the backfield? Andrew DiCecco joins us next. Talk more about the Eagles here on 97.3.
It's the NFC Championship game this Sunday as the Eagles host their NFC East rivals, the Washington Commanders.
He breaks a tackle. He's on his way. Here he goes. He's at the 40, 30, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown! Saquon Barkley!
Pre-game coverage starts at 2 p.m. South Jersey's official home for Eagles playoff football. 97.3 ESPN. South Jersey's home of Super Bowl 59.
Winter savings are heating up at BMW of Atlantic City. With an incredible selection and dropping interest rates, there's never been a better time to buy. Plus, qualified buyers pay nothing for 90 days with approved credit. Their expert team is ready to help you find your perfect BMW with personalized service that puts you first. Visit BMWAtlanticCity.com or stop by today. BMW of Atlantic City, your trusted destination for exceptional BMW savings this season. No payments for 90 days requires approved credit. See dealer for complete details.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick. Soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors. Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
There she is, founder and CEO. High five.
Yeah.
Dave can't stop celebrating with every business owner in town.
All right, Baker Man. High five.
He's sharing the excitement of big savings with the Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee.
Ooh, up top, Bike Shop.
Yeah.
It's 5 years of gig speed internet.
Quick, high five.
5 years of advanced security.
5 years.
And 5 years of a great rate that won't change.
Yeah, law partners. Chamberlain, Messelthorpe, Dubois.
All from the company with 99.9% network reliability. Switch today and get the 5-year price lock guarantee.
5 years.
It's back, but only for a limited time.
Woo!
Powering 5 years of savings, powering possibilities. Comcast Business.
Can't forget you, voiceover guy.
Ah, thanks, Dave.
High five.
Ends 3/9/25. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge for new customers on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
For new carpet, the Home Depot is your destination. With a large assortment of affordable carpeting in the brands, styles, and colors you need. And for new carpet savings, the Home Depot also has you covered. With 10% off all special order carpeting right now. Enjoy long-lasting comfort at a great price and free installation. Offer valid January 9th through January 26th, 2025. Receive 10% off special order carpet and installation. Installation included in select markets with qualifying purchase. For licenses, see homedepot.com/license numbers.
Winter savings are heating up at Boardwalk Honda. With over 200 new vehicles in stock and dropping interest rates, there's never been a better time to buy. Plus, qualified buyers pay nothing for 90 days with approved credit. Our expert team is ready to help you find your perfect Honda with personalized service that puts you first. Visit BoardwalkHonda.com or stop by today. Hurry, these deals won't last. Boardwalk Honda, your trusted destination for exceptional Honda savings this season. No payments for 90 days requires approved credit. See dealer for complete details.
Taxes was not knowing your full financial picture. Now Taxes is getting and maximizing your refund all in one place. Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get you the most money back, guaranteed. Then you can do more with all that money, all in Credit Karma. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Get started today. See guaranteed details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
Hi, Merrill Reese for Mike's Seafood Polar Bear Run Walk for Autism in Sea Isle City. The Mike's Seafood Run Walk for Autism has been promoting awareness and raising funds for special service schools and families of special needs children. Come join over 5,000 participants in the 5K race and the Family Fun Walk, followed by a great after party. Join us in huge heated tents where there will be great food, unbelievable door prizes, and the awards ceremony. The party is not just for the runners and walkers, it's for the entire family. They'll have clowns, superheroes, and face painters for the kids. For more information or to register, go to polarbearrunwalkforautism.com. That's polarbearrunwalkforautism.com.
Mike's Seafood Run Walk for Autism is Saturday, February 15th at JFK in the Boardwalk in Sea Isle City. Registration is from 9:30 to 11:30. Run walk starts at noon. That's Saturday, February 15th at JFK in the Boardwalk in Sea Isle City. Any day you could do something for children with disabilities, it's a good day.
Home of the Sports Bash with Mike Gill, 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. 97.3 ESPN presents the Sports Bash with Mike Gill. It's time for Football at 4 with Andrew DiCecco, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast.
We're never satisfied. That hunger for more. That hunger for more. I have it. Everyone has it.
Now live, this is Football at 4.
Right now, I don't feel like Jalen's going to make those throws. The throw to the sideline to A.J. Brown is a safe throw. It's his back shoulder. A.J.'s getting it. Nobody's getting it. I feel like he's taken the 50-50 balls out, and he's good. He's a good deep ball thrower. We've seen him make a number of throws over the years down the field. But I don't feel like he wants to put the team in jeopardy right now by making a throw that he doesn't necessarily have to make.
That was Brian Baldinger talking about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is not making the throws that put the Eagles in danger. Is that enough to beat Washington on Sunday? Is Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense being conservative enough to win? We'll ask Andrew DiCecco when he joins us in a couple minutes here on Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. And, of course, Football at 4 each and every day being brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. We do have the official Eagles injury report, and I don't want to be flippant, but it's very predictable. I told you guys this would be the injury report earlier, okay? As soon as I knew that Cam Jurgens declined to speak to the media to go get treatment, I knew that he was going to be listed as questionable. I absolutely knew it. Now, the good news is he's the only starter listed as questionable. So let's break down the injury report really quick before we get to Andrew DiCecco from the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com. He'll join us momentarily. So the Eagles injury report breaks down like this. You have Cam Jurgens currently listed as questionable, even though he's limited participant at practice today. Britton Covey has been ruled out, although he's been on injured reserve. So that's not that surprising. And the only other player ruled out is Byron Young. Everyone else does not have a major injury designation for the game on Sunday. So let's get more into the injury report right now. Andrew DiCecco, of course, Inside the Birds podcast. He's been doing daily updates on the podcasting platform. Like, subscribe, download wherever you get your podcasts. And, of course, InsideTheBirds.com coverage. And he joins us each week on 97.3 ESPN. Andrew, welcome in. How's it going?
Going well, guys. How are you?
Doing pretty good. So let's talk about the Eagles just real quick on the injury report. Obviously, it just dropped. No real major surprises. I had said before you came on, Andrew, that I knew when Jurgens declined to talk to the media and go get treatment that it was probably going to be listed as questionable. So your take on the only Eagles starter, Jurgens, having an injury designation?
Yeah, I mean, this late in the season, guys, there's not much else you could hope for if you're the Philadelphia Eagles or an Eagles fan. That's a remarkable testament to the training staff and to the players' ability to get the treatment and everything like that. You have to imagine in a game like this, every player is going to want to give it a go. Every player that we've talked to this week has been of the belief that Cam Jurgens is going to play in this game. And all signs are pointing to that. That's great news for Philadelphia.
If for whatever reason Juergens wakes up with his back locked up on Sunday and he can't go, the presumption is that Dickerson would be at center, Tyler Steen would be at left guard. What in your mind would that mean for the Eagles on Sunday?
Well, it would give them more size up front. Obviously, I actually think that Landon Dickerson is quickly becoming one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL, and he's very much a tone setter. And he's good at center, but he's good at guard. Tyler Steen is adept at playing left or right guard. He prepares as if he is the starter. That's something that Jeff Stoutland, the offensive line coach, talks a lot about. And you obviously want to have all your players at across the line that have been there all season. Cam Juergens has arguably played at an all-pro level, and you're never going to be able to replicate that if he's not in the lineup. But Tyler Steen, it would be ready if called upon, as he has all season. I've talked to him quite a bit.
Andrew, when we look ahead to this game, obviously we talk about the offensive line because the offense has been under the microscope. So what happened on Sunday do you think is going to be the same, different, rectified, better, or whatnot coming into the game versus Washington?
I think they'll get rid of the football faster, and they'll get the ball to Jalen's hands and have answers for pressure that it could be coming. They're going to try to attack him because you have to wonder about his mobility. But I think that he'll have an answer for that, whether it be Dallas Goedert, whether it be those slants to A.J. Brown. That's the only thing I'm looking different. And I think sometimes you have to throw away the game from last week to an extent because of the weather and how it impacted the game. But I do believe that you're going to see a much more innovative offense from Kellen Moore, knowing that has been a talking point, knowing that this is now the third time that they're facing this team. I would imagine that both teams are going to leave no stone unturned.
Andrew DiCecco joining us, Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com, at Andrew DiCecco on the Twitter X platform. So, Andrew, one of the keys to the game is going to be Washington. For me, they gave up 200 yards last week to the Lions. They are bottom 10 in the NFL in multiple defensive categories. We know that Deron Payne has not practiced part of the week. We know that Jonathan Allen, he's back, but he had a pectoral injury earlier this year. So do you anticipate Philadelphia to attack this Washington defense on the ground like they have in games past?
Yeah, I mean, they're a bottom-tier run defense, so that would make the most sense. I would expect them to do that. I would expect the Eagles to use their offensive line, which is the league's best, to continue to impose their will at the point of attack and drive them off the ball and really take it to them. Because usually, more often than not, I've seen teams in the third or fourth quarter that eventually they wear down and they don't really want a part of it. Now the question becomes, do they play the Eagles any differently depending on the status of Jalen Hurts and what his if he's operating at full capacity? But yeah, I think that they're not going to drastically become this pass-happy team. They're going to continue to lean on what got them there, and that is Saquon Barkley, who is the driving force of that offense.
Andrew, on the offensive side of the ball, your key matchup for Sunday for the Eagles versus Washington is what?
A.J. Brown versus Marshawn Lattimore. Marshawn Lattimore had 3 DPI calls on the second matchup. And I would imagine that if you're an Eagles team, that maybe the passing game hasn't been as rhythmic as they would like. You're going to try and chuck one up there and see how the officiating crew is calling that one, because they called it really tight in the previous matchup. So I would imagine that would be something that they try to do to get the offense going and really to get a feel for it, almost like you're feeling it out like a boxing match. But to me, I think AJ's primed for a big game anyway. He's been very quiet in the postseason, and he is in my opinion, he's the Eagles' best player, and it behooves the Eagles to get the ball into their hands of their best player. And Marshawn Lattimore is a chippy, grabby type of corner, and so I think that plays into the Eagles' favor.
By the way, the Washington Commanders injury report is out. Deron Payne listed as questionable, did not practice all week. Also, Javonte Jean-Baptiste, he is also listed as questionable, although he was limited at practice today. So Washington's defense, not exactly 100%, but the bigger name for Washington, Andrews, on the other side of the ball, Sam Cosmi, he is out. He will not play. How do you anticipate that will impact now the Eagles' defense versus Washington's offense?
Well, he was their best lineman, and that's gonna definitely impact them a little bit, especially considering that Jalen Carter had his way the first time with Cosme there, and so that's on the defensive side probably the matchup that I'm keying in on the most, because Jalen Carter, the Eagles are still playing football right now. Just reminding the audience, because Jalen Carter, because what he was able to do on plays 68 and 69 in that game, getting the sack and then forcing pressure on Matthew Stafford. And now it sets up for him to have an even better game against a Washington Commanders depleted offensive line. Now, he does get held a bunch, and I would imagine that Washington is going to try and find ways to get under his skin and try and throw him off his game. But all signs are pointing to Jalen Carter having another dominant performance.
We know that Philadelphia, when C.J. Gardner-Johnson got kicked out of the game in the last matchup, that's when Washington scored 22 points, Andrew. So how will this game be different on Sunday for the Eagles defense?
Well, C.J. Gardner-Johnson being there, he's the back-end communicator. He's vocal. He sets the tone in terms of energy. He flies around. So not having a player like that and then asking someone like Tristan McCollum to jump in there mid-game when the defense was clearly reeling just wasn't a recipe for success, and probably unfair or unrealistic to expect Tristan to be able to step in there and do what he did. But CJ is the heartbeat of the back end, and having him out there and his ability to take the football away is really unique. That's why he's here. That's why the Eagles went out and got him. They've said it on multiple occasions and reinforced it. But yeah, that's a huge boost for this team. Now he said that he learned a lot from that previous matchup, learning that he said he has to grow the what up and that it's a team game, not a me game. And he really hasn't had any issues since that game. I think that was one of those learning experiences for him.
For you, Andrew, what is the biggest difference between what Jaden Daniels will see this Sunday in Philadelphia versus what he and Cliff Kingsbury and the Washington offense has seen the last 2 weeks of the postseason?
Philadelphia plays fundamentally sound football. They rarely break contain. They don't send a ton of pressure, which is a big difference. They don't blitz, which Jaden Daniels is very good against the blitz. And he's going to run into a very structurally assignment sound defense that's orchestrated by Vic Fangio. And I think it's the detail and the depth, because a lot of the Lions were depleted defensively, and a lot of these teams get over aggressive. And a quarterback like Jaden Daniels is going to make you pay for it. The Eagles are definitely gap sound, and they do a lot of different things that have allowed them to become the NFL's top defense.
Eagles are the NFL's top defense. Then what is the key matchup for the Eagles defense on Sunday versus the Washington offense, Andrew DiCecco?
I would say maybe Quinyon Mitchell versus Terry McLaurin. Quinyon didn't have a great game against Terry, but knowing Quinyon and knowing how he operates and how he's wired, he is sort of a quiet type of guy, but the fire burns within, and he is very confident. And I have to imagine that he's going to want to go out there trying to prove a point, lock down his side of the field as he did in the first matchup, and really, reinforce the dominant force that he's been this season. And I think he's going to be ready to answer the bell this time around.
Andrew, before we get your pick for the game, I want to know from you. You've been covering this team all year. You've been covering them in depth all week on InsideTheBirds.com, Inside the Birds podcast, at Andrew DiCecco on the Twitter X platform. Do you have a favorite storyline, narrative, player situation that you are looking forward to the most on Sunday?
This is one's out of left field, but I would say special teams. That's not something that we often talk about, which is why it's out of left field. But the Washington Commanders have had the advantage in the two previous matchups, and in a game like this, where the stakes are so high and the margin for error are so thin, Josh, that's where it makes all the difference. Jake Elliott missed 2 field goals in the first matchup. He missed an extra point in the previous matchup. Braden Mann failed to drop the kick in the landing zone to start that game off. There were 2 penalties in the previous game as well from Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and Sidney Brown. They are well aware that they need to be better, and I think they're going to take this one personally and make sure that that's buttoned up, because I do believe the offense and the defense will take care of business. So I think it'll be a collective effort, and special teams will be a lot more sound, a lot more fundamentally sound than they've been in the 2 previous games.
So then, Andrew, who do you think's going to win on Sunday and why?
Had the Eagles winning 27-20. They're the better team. They're the better coach team, and they're playing with a ton of confidence and poise right now.
Check him out over at Andrew DiCecco on the Twitter X platform. Check out all of his coverage at InsideTheBirds.com. And, of course, all of his coverage with the Inside the Birds podcast. Like, subscribe, download, wherever you get your podcasts. Andrew, keep up the great work. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, man.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, we always get great insights from Andrew DiCecco here on the Sports Bash. So let's recap a couple things he said there. I thought his comment at the end there about special teams is interesting because, Philadelphia has been a little more talked about, at least here on 97.3 ESPN in terms of special teams because of the Jake Elliott issues, right? The missed extra points, the 1 for 7 from 50 yards plus, to parts of the game that Jake Elliott has historically been much better at. But he mentioned about the other areas of special teams as well. The kick and punt return coverages, the kick and punt return blocking schemes, the fact that, this is a Washington team that has a lot of smart guys playing on special teams, whereas Philadelphia has some more younger players who play on special teams. And so you have to wonder, going into a game like this, does Philadelphia try to be more attentive to the crossing of the T's, the dotting of the I's, and be more fundamental and less flashy, so maybe you don't get as big of a return or you don't get as big of a play on special teams because you're trying to be more fundamentally sound against a Washington team that has outplayed you at times this year. Now, we do want to bring up again the Washington injury report because I think it's very interesting that we have not talked enough about the Washington Commanders' injuries this week. We've spent a lot of time talking about Philadelphia. But the reason why I brought up what I did to Andrew about the injuries on Washington's side of the ball is because of the fact that if you're Philadelphia and you know that Washington is already not a good run defense, and you know that Washington is banged up on the interior. Again, Deron Payne not practicing all week. He is listed as questionable for the game on Sunday. He is dealing with what they're describing as knee and finger injuries. Now, the finger injury, that's a non-starter. Okay, guys play with injuries to their hands all the time. But I think the injury to his knee is much more important. Now, I want to bring up, Ross Tucker was on the Greenlight podcast, and he talked about earlier this week about what he has seen from Payne and Allen, the two best defensive linemen for the Washington Commanders.
Payne and Allen are both banged up because I'm watching them, and they look fine, but they don't look like they normally do. They're not out there like killing people. Like, they're not getting off blocks the same way. I think they both might be banged up. Allen's trying to come back from a torn pec.
Yeah.
That's tough in the season like that. So I would expect the Eagles, even though those are like their big name defensive guys, I would still attack them and make sure those guys can hold up.
And that's going to be interesting because whether it's Juergens or Dickerson as center, no matter who, if Philadelphia's plan is to put body on body with the Washington defensive front and say, listen, it's on you guys to stop us. If Philadelphia can create that domination from the start of the game, from the very moment the game starts, I've always said it, guys, I am tired of Philadelphia throwing the ball to start the game. Just very first play, first snap, I want to see running back off guard. I want to see running back counter off a let guard. I want to see something that is going to let Washington know from the start. I know Allen and Payne are not 100%. I know your defense is bottom in the NFL in rushing yards allowed, rushing yards per game, rushing yards per attempt. I am going to make you prove to me that you can stop me on a consistent basis. We got to stop talking about well, what if Washington stops Saquon? Well, they got to show they can stop him first. Saquon got 150 and 147 yards against these guys. This is the same team that allowed 200 rushing yards to the Detroit Lions. It's about time you start dictating the terms of engagement instead of let Washington bring the game to you. Coming up on the other side, Nick Earnshaw for another edition of Nick's Nuggets here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on a Friday edition on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Wake up weekday mornings from 6 to 10 a.m. with Unsportsmanlike on 97.3 ESPN with Evan Cohen, Super Bowl champion Chris Canty, and Michelle Small.
Can't wake up without it.
Brought to you by the Gallery Bar Book and Games at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City.
Take the winning drive to RK Kia of Vineland. Brand new Kias under $6 a day. $6. That's less than lunch. Lease new Kia K4 under $6 a day. Even new K5 and Sorrentos under $7 a day. Now at RK Kia. Lease new 25 Kia K4 LXS. $6 a day. K5 LXS and Sorrento LX with third row seating under $7 a day. $7. Plus get 0% financing for 72 months. 0%. Plus you get RK coverage, no charge. Ding repair, tire repair, wheel repair, windshield repair, and more. No charge. Brand new Kias under $6 a day. Take the winning drive to RK. RK Kia of Vineland. RK does it right. MyRKKia.com. MyRKKia.com. To qualified buyers plus tax and title. For details, call 856-641-1111 or MyRKKia.com.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks VapoStick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors.
Use as directed. VapoStick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
Score a touchdown when you bank with Jersey Shore Federal Credit Union. Catch lower rates on loans and higher rates on savings. You'll cheer when you don't have to pay a penny to get your own money since they offer 85,000 surcharge-free ATMs. Get the details or open an account online with just a $25 minimum deposit at JerseyShoreFCU.org or swing to a branch in Northfield, Galloway, Hamilton, or Rio Grande. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time and switch to the expensive shampoo with amino acids. Sure, you don't know what those are or why you need them, but it sounds very impressive. And if you switch and save hundreds, you can massage it into your scalp every day. Now, if only you can get people to lean toward your head to smell those aminos. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For shampoo. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Hey, it's Mike Gill from the Sports Bash. The action is heating up this playoff season at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Lock in your touchdown picks, check out trending parlays, and increase your winning with profit boosts. New customers can bet $10 to get $100 in bonus bets and unlock 30 days of ESPN Plus. Download the ESPN Bet Sportsbook app and sign up with the promo code RADIO100. That's RADIO100 to get started today. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
For new carpet, the Home Depot is your destination. With a large assortment of affordable carpeting in the brands, styles, and colors you need. And for new carpet savings, the Home Depot also has you covered. With 10% off all special order carpeting right now. Enjoy long-lasting comfort at a great price and free installation. Offer valid January 9th through January 26th, 2025. Receive 10% off special order carpet and installation. Installation included in select markets with qualifying purchase. For licenses, see homedepot.com/license numbers.
Where can you kick off the new year with big savings on gig speed? Only with Xfinity, now through January 30th. Get gig internet at home for $25 a month for 1 year when you add an unlimited mobile line, which connects you to gig speed Wi-Fi on the road. Act fast today and save more than $650 over AT&T and Verizon in your first year. Plus, hurry and take advantage because right now you can also get a free 5G phone with trade-in. So save big and stay connected to what you love with fast gig speed internet and mobile. From home to hotspots, speeds. This new year, it's all about gig speeds and big savings. Don't wait and get gig speed internet. Spend less green and switch to Xfinity. Go to Xfinity.com/gig savings to learn more. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. $40 internet discount applied to mobile bill. After promo, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. Savings compared to Verizon Fiber Gig Plus 1 Unlimited Welcome Line and AT&T Fiber Gig Plus 1 Unlimited Starter Line. Xfinity internet required. Reduced speeds after 30 gigabits of usage per line. Data thresholds and actual savings vary.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN. NFL, the Eagles in Washington will meet for the third time this season, a berth in Super Bowl 59 on the line in the NFC Championship game. Philadelphia has won 14 of their last 15 games, but that one loss came in Week 16 against the Commanders, a game where Jalen Hurts suffered a concussion. Both teams are ranked in the top 3 in rushing. Eagles trying to get to the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 seasons. NHL, the Flyers remain in New York tonight facing the Islanders. Philadelphia lost to the Rangers on Thursday night at the Garden 6-1. Owen Tippett scored the first goal of the game, and New York put up 6 unanswered. Despite the loss, the Flyers still have won 5 of their last 7. And in the NBA, the Sixers are home tonight as they take on Cleveland, looking to snap a 7-game losing skid after a loss to Denver Tuesday. Progressive Insurance, bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN.
Are you looking for a rewarding career where you can make a difference every day? Apply today to join the Camden County Police Department.
Our officers work to protect and serve Camden County.
We need people like you to continue our mission.
It's one of the top-ranked police forces in America.
We lead by example through our unwavering commitment to our community. And because our officers are the key to building safer, stronger neighborhoods.
We offer competitive pay throughout training, high starting salaries, and excellent benefits.
Rise to the challenge and be part of the next generation of police. Apply today at CamdenCountyPD.org.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. It's a pretty tame weather forecast through the weekend and early next week. Our only weather headline is a welcome warming trend into the 30s and eventually the 40s. Now, tonight's going to be cold. Clear skies, calm winds, low of 18 degrees. Tomorrow we'll see sun with afternoon clouds, high of 33. Shooting for 42 on Sunday. Finally a return to seasonable temperatures. Mostly cloudy, breezy, maybe a flurry or sprinkle. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Take the winning drive to RK Kia of Vineland, where you get RK coverage, no charge. RK does it right. RK Kia of Vineland. MyRKKia.com.
We have the perfect solution for sitting in traffic.
You come with me.
The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget, still to come, it's a Sal Pal Friday. Sal Paolantonio is back. Mike Gill might be on vacation, but Sal Paolantonio doesn't take any days off for the Eagles postseason. He'll be joining us at 5 o'clock. And then John Keim from ESPN NFL Nation will give us the Commanders' perspective coming up at 5:25. But right now, it's Friday's edition of Nick's Nuggets being brought to you by the original Piccalilli Inn. Visit them on Facebook or at Piccalilli.com for the pick game specials, and be sure to order to guarantee your spot in Sunday's lineup. Nobody beats the Piccalilli, Route 206 in Shamong. Here's Nick Earnshaw joining us here on 97.3 ESPN. Nick, welcome in. Happy Hour Friday. Happy Football Friday. Happy Eagles Friday. I see you're wearing your Harold Carmichael jersey today.
Yes, I got the Harold Carmichael jersey on today. Had to have it. So it's a Football Friday. It's a Happy Hour Friday, Josh. Beautiful day to celebrate. And listen, we're only 2.5 days away now, I guess you could say, from kickoff. I can't wait. No, actually 2 days. Less than 2 days, right? Because it's Friday. It's going to be at 3 o'clock on Sunday.
We are under 48 hours.
Oh, man, I can do math, right? I mean, I can't wait, Josh.
Can you?
Well, not great. I never said I could do it that great. But listen, Josh, it's going to be an exciting game. A lot going on. So much surrounding this game. And we got to get into nugget number one, Josh. There's so much going on in the media right now. And number one, I got to talk about Jalen Carter a little bit and the impact he's had, right? Aaron Donald, according to LaShawn McCoy, had some really high praise for Jalen Carter, saying, quote, my replacement is here, essentially as the best D tackle in football. That is what the praise was from Aaron Donald, a team, that was the Rams last week. That's Aaron Donald's former team right there, Josh. So the fact that Aaron Donald sees that in Jalen Carter, I know Jalen Carter was asked about it today during his little media gaggle, and that was the first time he heard it. He was kind of like shocked, didn't really know what to say. So that was pretty cool. And, I have a couple of stats about Jalen Carter that I want to talk about and bring to your attention, Josh. Last week, he was the second highest. He had the second highest PFF grade at 90.3 in the divisional round for any player in the divisional round. He had the second highest overall grade at 90.3. I also want to talk about a specific matchup that is intriguing me. The Commanders lost their best lineman last week in Sam Cosmi. Okay, he is going to be out for this game. I don't really know what they're going to do. They still really don't know what they're going to do. Dan Quinn really hasn't given away. He said they're still kind of figuring out options. They can move some guys around, have a backup play. Who knows? But he's been their best right guard all year, and that was the matchup for Jalen Carter. So Jalen Carter going into this week, I really like him against a backup guard. I think he's going to have a massive, massive impact throughout the game, not just in one moment here or there. Throughout the game, I think you're going to hear Jalen Carter's name called a lot as he's going to get into the backfield.
I think that's more than fair. I will tell you, by the way, first of all, I should let you know, for some reason, there's a feedback coming back to me on your side, Nick. So I've decided to pot you down for a minute. So if you respond to me for a minute, let me pot you back up before you talk. So here's the deal. I think the Jalen Carter thing is very interesting because I think that we don't appreciate the fact that this is the most double-team player in the NFL this year. I think the Donald comment is interesting because, one, I think Chris Jones is somewhere saying, hey, what about me, right, with the Kansas City Chiefs? And number two, I never really thought of Jalen Carter as Aaron Donald because Donald was always more like an undersized D tackle. He got like the John Randall role. I always looked at Jalen Carter more like a Warren Sapp, where it's like this freakish athlete on the D-line who wrecks havoc. So to me, I think it's a very interesting comment by Donald because I never really thought of Jalen Carter as a Aaron Donald type. I always thought of him more as like another type of body type, But listen, if Aaron Donald thinks he's the best D tackle in football, who am I to question it, right?
Yeah, no, I don't. You can't question it if it's coming from one of the best, right, of all time. You can't question that, Josh. I mean, the fact that he sees how good Jalen Carter has been, and I think he's going to be massive this week. When you have a player that is going to be out in one of their best offensive linemen in Cosmi, not playing, he goes down in that Detroit game. That's an underrated loss, and that hasn't been talked about enough this week, in my estimation. For the defensive line, that is huge because of where Jalen Carter is at on the D-line. That's his matchup. I think the Commanders should be very worried. That's going to affect Jaden Daniels a lot this week, and he's going to have to get the ball out quicker.
It's funny you said that because this is what Brian Baldinger said on the Takeoff with John Clark podcast.
Crushing the pocket the way I think he will. I call it like cage rushing, where you just literally put the guy in a cage and just walk him right back into the quarterback's lap. That type of rushing probably affects Jaden Daniels more than anything right now.
That is he's spot on. I'm glad that I could figure out something Baldy saw too. Maybe I'm gonna gloat a little bit here that I noticed that too. Yeah, hey, listen, Jalen Carter is gonna have a big day, and he's gonna be the biggest X factor clearly on the defensive side with Cosmi being out, hurt his ACL. Right guard, that's massive. That's massive. I know everyone's been talking about Jaden Daniels. The conversation's been surrounding Jalen Hurts, right? The secondary for the Eagles, all that. Some of the injuries on the Eagles' offensive line as well. Seems like Cam Jurgens is going to play. So I think this is an underrated storyline. Yeah, now you have Aaron Donald coming out and talking about Jalen Carter. But the fact that there's injuries to the best offensive lineman on the Commanders team on the interior where Jalen Carter has his bread and butter. Oh, it's beautiful.
All right, what do you got for the next nugget?
All right, nugget number 2. This is also something I really haven't seen a ton about. We're getting some returns, all right, to the Lincoln Financial Field to an NFC Championship game. Guys who have played as Eagles or coached as Eagles in NFC Championship game before. So Nick Foles, he will be the honorary captain for the Birds on Sunday. But also, Zach Ertz returning as a Commander. Brian Johnson returning as a Commanders coach. That is a storyline that has also flown under the radar a little bit, Josh Hennig. How weird is it that the Eagles are going to be playing against Zach Ertz and Brian Johnson on Sunday to go to a Super Bowl? Remember, a couple years ago, they traded Zach Ertz. It felt like he was towards the end of his career. They traded him to Arizona. It was over. It was time for the Dallas Goedert era here in Philadelphia. Zach Ertz was kind of on the way out. He's made a big impact with the Commanders this past year. He has been huge for them. And the fact he's coming back to Philadelphia in a Commanders uniform, that's got to make you feel a little type of way, Josh Hennig.
So the thing with Ertz is that I think what's interesting, at least for me, is that you're right. He was a guy that people said was washed up at the end. He was a guy that people were like, oh, he's done. He's got nothing left. No yak Zach, right? All those things. And he has been a very important leader. He's been a very important part of the Washington offense. I know he's the number 1, number 2 receiver on that team, but he's still been a very valuable player. You've seen him, what he's done this postseason run. And I think that the only reason why Washington, at least to me, has a chance in this game is because of Zach Ertz. I think Zach Ertz, he is going to be able to explain to these guys how Lincoln Financial Field is just different than anywhere else. To me, if Zach Ertz wasn't on this team, I would pick the Eagles to win in a round. But because I think Zach Ertz can explain to Jaden Daniels and these other young players, the Donnie Browns and others, hey, Philly, this is what it's like. He can turn to these guys and say, whatever the loudest atmosphere you've ever been in, this is loud. And I think that Ertz is very big key. I can care about Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson take a long walk in a short period. He's probably going to be the next Tampa Bay Bucks offensive coordinator, honestly. So for me, I care less about him. But I do think the Zach Ertz part of it is very fascinating because you know what's going to happen, Nick. If he gets the first down in this game, the boos are coming down.
Though I hate it, though. I hate it. Like, he scored a big touchdown in the Super Bowl to win it, the first one, and now he's a Commander with a chance to go to the Super Bowl with the Commanders and beat you in your home stadium. I can't. That would be nightmare scenario, Josh Hennig. That can't happen if you're the Philadelphia Eagles, but you make a strong point. Having Zach Ertz on that team really helps. Really helps. I mean, yeah, he's been there. He was there for years. He was a big part of that championship team. It's incredible. I don't know. I don't know what else like you could do as a former Eagle. Like, he is the guy who was there before. He's done it. He's one of the only members of a roster to ever hold a championship up for the Birds. He knows how that stadium's going to be. He knows it's going to be rocking. And now you're going to boo that guy because he's got a shot to beat you in your own house on the way to the Super Bowl. I mean, you can't write this stuff. You can't do it. That's why sports are the best, Josh.
Now, I will say, no rookie quarterback has ever won a championship game. They're all over. Ben Roethlisberger, Joe Flacco, Sean King, Brock Purdy, and there's one other one I'm forgetting off the top of my head. But the point is that all these guys, they can't win championship games. Does that stat scare Nick Earnshaw, or does that stat give confidence for Nick Earnshaw on Sunday?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I think it gives me a little I don't know. Say it again for me because I need to hear it again.
Okay, so Jaden Daniels is going to be the 6th rookie quarterback to start a conference championship game. On the list of guys who are 0 for 5 is Sean King of the Bucs in 99, Ben Roethlisberger his rookie year, Joe Flacco his rookie year, Brock Purdy, as we know, 2 years ago, Eagles knocked him out of the game. There's a 5th one. I got to look it up what the 5th one is, but the point is that rookie quarterbacks, they don't win conference championship games.
Yeah, I think it gives me I'm more confident because it is a rookie, hasn't been on that stage yet. Hasn't been on the road at Lincoln Financial Field yet, right? I have more confidence that the Eagles can pull this out because of the defense as well. The defense is so good. And, like we talked about earlier with Jalen Carter, I think that's a matchup that is so key to this game with Sam Cosmi being hurt on the offensive line for the Commanders. He has been a huge part of their success. He's probably their best offensive lineman. I mean, that's huge to me. So I think that's going to hurt Jaden Daniels a lot. He's on the road. This is a big game. I know he's been on big stages before, but the Eagles have been there, done that. They have a lot of veterans on this team that have won big games. Yeah, that's why I think the Eagles have such a good shot of winning this, because they've been there. They have the better roster overall. Listen, they're playing with house money in Washington. I still think that matchup in the interior is so important. It's so crucial for Jaden Daniels, and I think it's going to hurt them on Sunday.
By the way, the fifth name I forgot was Mark Sanchez. Mark Sanchez.
That's right.
Back-to-back conference championship game. So
yep.
Yeah, those are the five before Jaden Daniels. No one has ever won a conference championship game as a rookie.
That's unbelievable. Jaden Daniels, we can't let him be another one to add winning to that list. You don't want him to add another win to that list, Josh. All right, moving along. Nugget number 3, final nugget, Josh Hennig, and it has to do with the 76ers. And there's rumors going around all the time, especially since the trade deadline is coming up. But, man, this one was a doozy, and it has to do with the front office and Daryl Morey, okay? So Bob Myers' name has now been floated by Bill Simmons on his podcast about a possible and potential new general manager and president of basketball operations for the Sixers. Not to say that they are going to fire Daryl Morey, but the fact that Bill Simmons is putting that out there in the sphere that we seen Bob Myers in boxes in Philadelphia with Josh Harris before, or am I remembering that correctly? So,
oh no, you've seen it.
It's very interesting that's coming out to light now of what has happened with the 76ers, and the entire season has been an absolute train wreck overall. Josh, you got to be worried if you're Daryl Morey at this point, that's being put out there in January at this point.
So a couple of things here. One, Bob Myers, for those who don't know, he was hired by Josh Harris months ago, maybe over a year ago, honestly, at this point, to be a special advisor to the organization. Like the theory that Josh Harris had was that he needed people who have executive experience in sports front offices to help rebuild the Washington front office. And Bob Myers, one of the people who recommended them hire Adam Peters, the general manager, so the draft that he had this year. So Bob Myers has been very involved with the Washington operations behind the scenes. We know that Bob Myers, when he retired from the Warriors, he didn't retire from basketball. He just retired from being the Warriors general manager. And, you know, when you look at Bob Myers, he's not the oldest guy in the world. So you got to wonder, is he a little Theo Epstein, right? You know, Theo Epstein, he led the Red Sox to the World Series. They won a couple championships. And they say, you know what, I've done this boss thing long enough. Eventually end up in Chicago, and they win a World Series. So maybe Bob Myers can be to the NBA what Theo Epstein was to baseball. The guy who kind of just like, hey, I need a new challenge. I need a new thing to go after. And frankly, I think most Sixer fans, to Daryl Morey's chagrin, would love Bob Myers here. But I think Bob Myers brings something to the table that no Sixers front office executive has brought in decades. And that is championship experience on any level. The guy could have won a championship for any organization, but it's the fact that he won it with the Warriors, Nick Earnshaw.
Yeah, he built that team. I mean, could you say he got lucky? But, you know, I don't think you can. I mean, some people could say that with Kurt. I don't think he did, because he had to build those rosters. He ends up getting KD to join their team. Like, yeah, but I got to ask the question, Josh, with Daryl Morey. I mean, what could he have possibly done this offseason other than what he did? What else would he have done? I mean, listen, I brought up the idea of Mikal Bridges and that scenario and other ways, making trades throughout the offseason instead of trading or instead of signing Paul George. But I mean, for an executive, I mean, what else really was he supposed to do? I mean, they've had so many injuries. Joel Embiid has not been there. He's not been the same. Paul George, I mean, he's in his mid 30s. So I mean, what else did you expect? That's going to be a contract that's going to be a pain in the next couple of years to get rid of. Might even be worse than Tobias Harris, to get rid of Tobias Harris.
Well, Paul George is more productive than Tobias Harris, but I will say this. What if I were to tell you that you could have landed instead of Paul George this offseason, Jimmy Butler, would have made a difference for the team this year?
I don't know. The whole Jimmy saga has been crazy as well, Josh. Down in Miami, I mean, the only positive with that, and he's around the same age as Paul George. So I don't know if I love that. The only positive is he's very good friends with Joel Embiid. Joel loved playing with him. And he was a Sixer for less than the season and, has been here and knows what being in Philadelphia is like. So, I mean, maybe, I don't know how much of a difference that would have made with the health of Joel Embiid. It all comes down to the health of Joel. That's what it comes down to. So, overall, I don't know if it would have made that much of a difference, to be honest, because for me, it's like, I don't know. I don't think Jimmy Butler would have made that much of a difference. He's had injury problems too. Paul George has been hurt. Who knows? Maybe he would have asked out after all this debacle at some point. Maybe done the same thing as he did in Miami. But, you'll never know. And you would have had to trade a lot more assets, and you wouldn't have been set up for the future if you had to trade for Jimmy Butler.
All right, so I got a nugget for you.
Oh,
Earnshaw.
nugget for me.
Yeah, so I don't know if you saw this or not. You might have or seen it in passing. So Ashlyn Sullivan puts out this report on Twitter X, and it's retweeted by John Clark. And she goes into this long dissertation. Okay, for those who don't know, Ashlyn Sullivan is she hosts a lot of the Eagles programming on NBC Sports Philadelphia. She is with the team on game days in all different capacities. So she is very much around the team as much as anybody else is. She had a conversation, according to her, with Darius Slay earlier this week, that this could be Darius Slay's final game. And he says that he is 80%, 5% sure he might play next year, but he doesn't think he'll be in Philadelphia. Now, I'm not here to discredit Ashlyn Sullivan, but I do have some questions for you, Nick Earnshaw. Number one, Darius Slay is a podcast I listen to every single week. Why would Slay divulge this information to Sullivan and then not on his own podcast? That's my number one question. My number two question for you is, why does Slay give this information to Ashlyn Sullivan and nobody else who covers the team got this quote-unquote breaking story less than 48 hours for the NFC Championship game? I'm not trying to say she's a bad doing her job. I'm not discrediting her, but I have a lot of questions about the timing of this story and the why of this story, Nick Earnshaw.
Yeah, it's fascinating, right? That you're already talking. We're kind of looking ahead already past the NFC Championship, into the offseason, past the Super Bowl too. Yeah, it's really weird that we're bringing this up right now. And you make a great point. Usually these guys now, they just want to do it on their own show. They want to break the news on their own show, on their own accord. This is because I think it's been so dominated by the offensive discussion, and because it is championship week, I feel like that's why it's kind of gotten pushed under the rug a little bit. But the question for me is, there's no need to talk about this. No need to think about this right now. This isn't after the season. Maybe after a disappointing loss or a great Super Bowl win or a great NFC Championship win. Maybe later. Let's worry about offseason stuff later. They already went through this against the Chiefs a couple years ago with Jonathan Gannon, right? Is he 1 foot out the door? Darius Slay, he's already thinking about retiring. He might not be an Eagle in his final year. Who knows? Maybe he's setting up for maybe if they win the whole thing, he retires right then and there and just says, forget it. I go out on top.
It's a very weird, it's just weird timing to me. I can't, again, I'm not discrediting her, but typically, and as you know, for those, just to pull the curtain back, Nick Earnshaw and I have both worked in this business on the microphone and behind the scenes for a long time. And one of the things that you and I were taught, by the hardened professionals, right, is that if you have a story, you got to get sourcing, right? You got to maybe another person corroborates it, right? The idea that, hey, if Slay said it to one reporter, he might have said it to multiple reporters, right? So, there's a part of me that wonders, what is the purpose of putting this out? I mean, what time was it? It was before 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. That's my, and it just, the whole thing just screams like I need more information. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, maybe just getting his name out there. It's very interesting coming from Slay. I mean, maybe he's just talking off the cuff. You know what I mean? It kind of slipped out. I don't know how something like that could slip out. Who knows? Because you are right. He usually would be one talk about it on his own show. That would be his own thing. Especially a lot of these players now, they want to talk about it themselves, and you want to hear it straight from them. So that's what's fascinating about this entire thing. I don't care. Frankly, I don't care. I don't think the fans should care. They got a game on Sunday. Darius Slay's future, he's been a very good Eagle. He's been fantastic since coming over from Detroit. I don't care about his future right now. I care about the next 2 games of his future, not beyond that. That doesn't matter. That's out the window at this moment. So I think it's a weird story to drop on a Friday before a conference championship, but we've seen weird stories happen before. This one, you add it to the list, Josh.
All right, really quick before we go, Steven EHT chimes in and says, what the hell do you mean? What else were you supposed to do? That's ridiculous. How about the Sixers sign someone for almost $200 million who doesn't actually stink? If you put the stats to Tobias Harris this season with PG-13 and then Tobias Harris last season, you realize that you paid $200 million for almost the same exact player. That's from Steven EHT. Nick Earnshaw, your response before we get out of here.
All right. First of all, the Detroit Pistons are in a playoff spot, so they've been having a better season. Yes, Paul George is a better player than Tobias Harris. I know some of the numbers I'll look at. He's also been hurt as well, so you got to factor that in. He's had no Joel Embiid too. We know Tobias Harris puts up empty numbers as being a top option on a team anyway. So you have to look at it how they use Tobias Harris too. That's another reason. But listen, the whole season's been an absolute disaster. So I'm not just going to blame Paul George. That I said they could have made multiple other trades, Josh. It is what it is. You're stuck with them now.
He's Nick Earnshaw. Of course, he's the producer for The Locker Room with Billy Schweim. I'm assuming you're going to be wearing the referee shirt tomorrow because it's Billy and Bobby Schweim in the studio.
Oh, yeah, and I will be banning ChatGPT from the show. There will be no ChatGPT talk tomorrow.
The only thing I ask is Nick Earnshaw. Just make sure these guys have context tomorrow because it's going to be a disaster.
We'll keep them in check. It'll be a fun weekend with the Schweiner. It'll be a chicken or the egg on Sunday with Clem and them. We'll have a fun weekend, Josh Hennig.
At Ed Earnshaw Radio on the Twitter X platform. Nick, I will see you on Sunday, my friend.
Peace.
And, of course, Nick's Nuggets segment is brought to you today by the Piccalilli Inn. Visit them on Facebook or at Piccalilli.com for the Pick Game specials. And be sure to order and guarantee your spot in Sunday's lineup. Nobody beats the Piccalilli Brew 206 in Chemong. Sal Paolantonio is next.
Saturday morning in the locker room with Billy Schweim, producer Nick Earnshaw, and my twin brother Bobby Schweim join me in the studio. We will get you pumped up for the Eagles-Commanders NFC Championship game. Mr. Negadelphia PJ Corda checks in, brought to you by the Galloway Pool Service. Can the Negadelphian rain on our parade? Then Fran McLaughlin has this week's high school athletes in the spotlight, brought to you by the Philly Pretzel Factory of Egg Harbor Township. Sixers, Flyers, talking more. It's the locker room with Billy Schweim, Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN.
So you need a new car or SUV, but you're upside down in your trade, but you're worried about your down payment, but your credit is less than perfect. Bring your butts to any Matt Blatt Kia today. With over 1,100 new Kias, all with zero down, zero payments until April, or get $10,000 in bonus cash, or 0% for 72 months on every clearly marked Kia EV6 and 9. Buried in a loan or lease? Matt Blatt Kia wants to get you released new all-wheel drive Kia Sportage or Sorento. 1.9% for 60 months. Matt Blatt Kia. With our PA and New Jersey Kia superstores, Abington, Egg Harbor Township, Toms River, or right to your front door.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, $1,389 per thousand finance. Not all will qualify. Credit may affect down payment. Offers can't be combined. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes through KMF. Rebates and incentives to dealer. Expires 2/4/25.
Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township,
and on Route 37 in Toms River.
For new carpet, the Home Depot is your destination. With a large assortment of affordable carpeting in the brands, styles, and colors you need. And for new carpet savings, the Home Depot also has you covered. With 10% off all special order carpeting right now. Enjoy long-lasting comfort at a great price and free installation. Offer valid January 9th through January 26, 2025. Receive 10% off special order carpet and installation. Installation included in select markets with qualifying purchase. For licenses, see homedepot.com/license numbers.
Hey, AI, how many touchdowns did the Eagles score in the 2023 season?
The Eagles scored 49 touchdowns in the 2023 season.
Hey, AI, I had a fall recently. I need to recover. Please help me walk again.
I'm sorry, but that is beyond my capabilities.
Hey, AI, my parents are getting older and I can't care for them by myself. Can you help me care for them?
I'm sorry, that is beyond my capabilities. AI will never replace care, but here's what I found for the best care near you.
Autumn Lake Healthcare Centers, trusted leaders in skilled nursing rehabilitation and senior care, and proud partners of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Flex Premium Athleisure is softness that plays hard. From the couch to the gym to the office and beyond, Flex gives you premium comfort and style that keeps up with anything without costing everything. Whether you're chasing the ball or chasing the kids, life's a workout. Flex with it. Exclusively at Kohl's. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohls.com for details.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers, excludes Traverse and Corvette, excludes prior sales.
Start the new year right in a new Chevy from Bennett, where we sell new Chevys at the true GM supplier employee price. Yeah, you pay what our employees pay, not a penny more. Plus, at Bennett Chevrolet, you keep all the rebates. That's incredible. That's right, you save both ways, saving you up to 20% off the sticker. But it gets even better, because right now there's available 0.9% financing, saving you even more. 0.9! And get this, if you're looking for a pre-owned, Bennett Chevy will pay you a minimum $10,000 for any old clunker you can get here towards any pre-owned in stock. You'll get at least 10 grand for total junk. Imagine how much you'll get for a good trade. And one more thing, Bennett's sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. That makes a huge difference. No hype, no pressure. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time. The next time you're out to dinner with friends, you can order the shrimp cocktail for the table. And maybe you'll realize it only comes with 4 shrimp after you've already given away 3, but that one shrimp will be so good. And if you switch and save hundreds, you could get shrimp all the time. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For shrimp. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
South Jersey Gas has a new financing offer to upgrade your home's energy efficiency without breaking the bank. And as a participating contractor, Broadleaf's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning can help. Get up to $25,000 at 0% interest for 84 months when you switch to Energy Star rated equipment. Upgrade your furnace, boiler, water heater, your entire system with no interest, no money down, and payments right on your utility bill. Call Broadleaf's for a free quote at 609-390-3907 or visit broadleys.net.
Presenting Again Fling's love story. Dear love of my life, we were on the 12B bus this morning when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. Alas, I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Gain Flings. Try Gain Flings with OxyBoost and Febreze.
Take the winning drive to RK Kia of Vineland. Brand new Kias under $6 a day. $6. That's less than lunch. Lease new Kia K4 under $6 a day. Even new K5 and Sorrentos under $7 a day. Now at RK Kia. Lease new 25 Kia K4 LXS. $6 a day. K5 LXS and Sorrento LX with third row seating under $7 a day. $7. Plus get 0% financing for 72 months. 0%. Plus you get RK coverage, no charge. Ding repair, tire repair, wheel repair, windshield repair, and more. No charge. Brand new Kias under $6 a day. Take the winning drive to RK. RK Kia of Vineland. RK does it right. MyRKKia.com. MyRKKia.com. To qualified buyers plus tax and title. For details, call 856-641-1111 or MyRKKia.com.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stopped, opt out. Individual results may vary. Consult a doctor prior to use.
You've lost so much weight. How'd you do it?
I got medical treatment for weight loss through Zelty and lost 50 pounds. I struggled for the longest time, but Zelty makes it easy and affordable to get weight loss treatment 100% online. Zelty providers can prescribe FDA-approved weight loss medications clinically shown to help people lose weight, like Wegovy, Zepbound, and others.
I've heard those medications can help you lose weight, but aren't they expensive?
Zelty can help get the medication covered by insurance, so it's as little as $0 a month.
What if you don't have insurance?
No problem. Zelty may be able to help you get other GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% off the price of name brand medications.
I'm ready to start losing weight. How do I get started with Zelty?
Just text.
Text SKINNY to 200-300 to get started today with Zelty and see if weight loss medications like Wegovy and Zepbound are right for you. Don't wait. Text now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text SKINNY to 200-300. That's SKINNY to 200-300. SKINNY to 200-300.
Caesars Sportsbook is the only sportsbook app with Caesars Rewards. That means win or lose, every bet you place brings you closer to the type of perks only Caesars can offer. So download the app using promo code RADIODYW and place your first bet of $1 or more for a chance to double your winnings on your next 10 bets. Open to new users in New Jersey who are 21 or older. Max bet $25 for boosted winnings. Max additional winnings $25,000 per bet. Prop boost tokens expire 14 days after receipt. For terms, Caesars.com/promos. If you or someone has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They got him again!
Sixers.
Bang! It's good! Ball game!
And Flyers.
Tipped in front of the net!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD. Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort studio, here's Mike Gill.
What I see is basically an offense right now that is horizontal. You don't have to defend it vertically. You don't even have to defend it in the middle of the field. I don't see him throwing the ball very much in the middle of the field. And in this game, limitations are not on his knee. Clearly, they have to move him out of the pocket because the Rams just feasted on him in the pocket, 7 sacks.
That was Sal Paolantonio earlier today, as you heard here on 97.3 ESPN on the national programming. He has been keeping a close eye on the Philadelphia Eagles all week, and he is back for a Sal Pal Friday here on 97.3 ESPN. ESPN NFL national reporter, of course, the NFL matchup show. Catch it tomorrow morning on ESPN. Sal staying busy. Sal would not be NFL championship Sunday with the Eagles if you were not on 97.3. How you doing, my man?
Josh, you're always working, my brother. You're always working. You're wearing 2 hats today. How about that? That's beautiful.
It's a dirty job, Sal, but someone's got to do it, right?
Yeah, I hope that Mike Gill is streaming somewhere on the beach in Thailand, listening to 2 of us break down the championship game.
So let's start with what you just said about Jalen Hurts earlier today. Sal,
Yep.
for you, looking ahead to this game, obviously Jalen told the media today that he's going to be good to go. His knee is progressing. He'll wear a knee brace. What does all that say to you, how that could impact the offense with the quarterback?
Well, the first thing, Josh, is that there's practice and then there's games. Practice speed is not game speed. The speed of your opponent is always much, much greater than the speed of your defense, a scout team in practice. So we're going to have to see how he moves. How does he avoid the rush in the pocket? If he has to evacuate the pocket, which he didn't do much of against the Rams. Now, I realize the conditions were pretty bad. It was icy. It was slippery. Matthew Stafford couldn't move very well either. But after the injury in the third quarter against the Rams, he only rushed 1 time for -1 yard and only threw the ball 3 times. He was 3 for 3 for only 9 yards. So didn't have much offensive production out of the quarterback position. So the proof on Sunday will be how is he tested by Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, and that Commanders team that has made it pretty clear down there in Ashburn, Virginia, at their practice facility that they plan to go after and hit Jalen Hurts like they did when they knocked him out of the game with a concussion on December 22nd.
So with that being said, Sal, I want to know from you, what can the Eagles do to prevent Jalen Hurts from being knocked out of the game again? What can they do with the game plan to maximize him with the offense on Sunday?
And that's the perfect question to ask, Josh. There's no question about it. So, number one, the ball has to come out much more quickly. He is 3.12 seconds snap to release, second slowest in the National Football League. The slowest guy was Bryce Young in Carolina for most of the season. So that's not a good comparison. Ball comes out way too slow. Jaden Daniels, by comparison, 2.68, fourth fastest, and he's a rookie. And you look at the sack numbers in the postseason. Jalen Hurts has 9 sacks. He's lost 76 yards. And Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Jaden Daniels combined have been sacked 7 times in this postseason for a loss of 27 yards. So it's a significant difference, and the issue is ball's got to come out much more quickly. 2, they got to get him on the move, as I mentioned this morning, early this afternoon, on ESPN National Radio. They've got to get him on the move, get him out of the pocket. Now, the key is, will he be able to move and for how long? Getting him out of the he's a good passer when he's on the run. He's very accurate. He hasn't turned the ball over in 195 straight snaps, so he's taking care of the football. That's key. Take care of the football, get it to Saquon Barkley, but will he have to be more productive offensively facing Jaden Daniels? That's the question.
So with ESPN Sal Paolantonio here on the Sports Bash, Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill live in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios on 97.3 ESPN. You mentioned Saquon, Sal. This is a guy who had 150 rushing yards and 147 rushing yards the last 2 games versus Washington. We all saw, Sal, last weekend when Washington beat the Lions, they allowed 200 rushing yards to the Lions, and the Lions had all those turnovers. So is that a sign that Philadelphia is going to just keep running the ball at the Washington D?
I do believe that is the case. They're bigger and stronger on their offensive line. They have definitely an opportunity to move the ball, running with the football like they did before Jalen Hurts got concussed. As long as Hurts is on the field as somewhat of a decoy to run the ball, that will help Saquon Barkley and the offensive line move the ball against a defensive front that is not that big. Wagner's been on the injury report. Frankie Louvu is not a big guy. He's a fast guy. He can really hit you, and he's a good tackler, but you can move him out of the way. I think the Eagles will be able to run the football easily on the Commanders, and that could be a significant difference in this game.
Sal, I know you're a big historian of the game of football. That's why you wrote the book, How Football Explains America. Wherever you get your books are sold. It's a great book to read, by the way, just, personal preference. But anyway, Sal, I know that with Saquon on the verge of making history, he could break all of Terrell Davis's postseason records this Sunday. If Saquon gets that record on Sunday, the Eagles go to the Super Bowl, how does that change the storyline of the Eagles?
Well, Josh, I do believe he's already done that. I think he's rewritten his story, and he's rewritten the story of this particular team, the Sirianni, Jalen Hurts team. It's been rewritten by 2 people, in my view, Saquon Barkley and Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator, and some defensive players who, like Jalen Carter, Zach Bond, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Nolan Smith Jr. now, Jalix Hunt, who's coming into his own. The 2 safeties have been really playing well. This is a team that comes in with number 1 overall on defense and number 1 passing defense. Now, in the fourth quarter, they had a problem against Jaden Daniels in Washington. Couldn't stop him. And the Achilles heel of Vic Fangio's defenses over the years has been the same thing. Dual threat quarterbacks who run. He doesn't believe in a dedicated spy. He thinks it's up to the entire team to stop the quarterback who runs. I think it'll be tough because this particular quarterback is sensational with the ball in his hands outside the pocket. He's very fast. He's got long legs. He's got great stamina. They're going to have to do something different against Jaden Daniels in this game in order to stop him.
I know that C.J. Gardner-Johnson took the game personally that they lost because he was kicked out of the game when Washington scored 22 points after he left the game, Sal. So what do you anticipate will be different about this game aside from just C.J. on the field?
Well, the number one thing will be Jalen Hurts. He missed 3/4 of the game, more than that, because he was concussed in the fourth quarter. By the way, that was a helmet-to-helmet hit by Frankie Luvo.
Yep.
No flag, Josh. No flag, and no fine. They say they're protecting the quarterbacks. They're protecting some of the quarterbacks, Josh.
It's true. It's very true. Sal, when you think about it, you mentioned about protecting the quarterbacks. The Eagles, they were able to contain Jaden Daniels in the first matchup. Now you can say that maybe that was because of the rib injury. Daniels went off in the second matchup. So how can the Eagles contain Jaden Daniels here in matchup number 3?
Well, I think, Vic Fangio is going to do what he does, and he's going to play his safeties deep. He's not going to blitz. He's going to allow his front four to get to the quarterback. And there's a particular matchup to watch in this game when the Eagles defense is on the field, and that's Jalen Carter, who's playing at an extremely high level right now, not only from a physical standpoint, but he's just being smart in everything that he does and the adjustments that he makes if you watch him on film, able to slide away from the protection, able to see what's going on in the backfield before others do. Really smart player pre-snap. But the Washington Commanders are without their best offensive lineman, Sam Cosmi. He's their right guard. He suffered a knee injury in Detroit. Huge loss for them, big loss. And that's where Jalen Carter lines up most of the time, right over the right guard. So they better have a plan. They better have a plan, Washington, to block Jalen Carter in this football game.
Sal, a couple more before I let you go. Folks, don't forget about the NFL Matchup Show Saturday morning, 5:30 a.m., 9 a.m. on ESPN2 and ESPN+. Of course, as always, Sal Paolantonio with Greg Cosell on that show. For you, when you guys are breaking down the game, when Johnny G in Ocean City's flipping on the television on Saturday morning, Sal, and he's looking at you, what are you telling Johnny G? What is Greg Cosell on the team? What are you guys going to be informing people about on the show tomorrow morning?
Well, thank you for asking, and thank you for promoting the NFL Matchup Show. Tomorrow morning it'll be on ESPN2, but you can always stream it on ESPN+. Greg Cosell has a great breakdown of what the Eagles defense needs to do once Jaden Daniels breaks free of the pocket. I don't want to give it away. I want people to watch it. It's pretty good. And then we really talk about Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts really calling their own shot in the running game, how they adjust the running game to hit those big home runs. So I'm sure Johnny G. Burger team at Johnny G. the Grinder team at Burger Realty in Ocean City, New Jersey. He's my guy. He's always watching the Matchup Show. We love his support. And he's a big Eagles fan, so I'm sure he'll be watching.
Sal, before I let you go, I want to know for you, what does making a second conference championship in 3 years say about the Eagles organization?
Great adjustment and resiliency, especially for head coach Nick Sirianni, who went through a lot of turmoil in the offseason, especially for Jalen Hurts. Ditto. A lot of turmoil. The stories are well documented that they had trouble getting along. They ironed it out. They figured it out. The teams they won 9 in a row at home. Josh, the Eagles have won 9 in a row at home.
Yep.
That's insane. This is a good football team. The last time they lost at home was to the Falcons when Barkley dropped that pass at the goal line. So this is a good football team. And I've traveled with them from Sao Paulo, Brazil, week 1, and maybe all the way to the Super Bowl. I do believe that they will win the game. I got them winning the game 31-24.
And, of course, Sal Paolantonio will also be a part of postseason NFL Countdown starting at noon this Sunday on ESPN. Of course, give him a follow on Instagram at SalPalESPN. And he was kind enough to join us here on 97.3 ESPN for a Sal Pal Friday because Sal Paolantonio is working even if Mike Gill is on vacation.
And on my Instagram right now, I have a one-on-one interview with Jalen Carter at his locker. So, and he doesn't talk very much. So if you want to hear from Jalen Carter, go on my Instagram, Sal Pal ESPN, and check it out. It's pretty good, actually.
Great stuff. Sal, keep up the great work. I appreciate you jumping on today, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you for having me, Josh.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Excellent insights from Sal Paolantonio. I want to backtrack to something that he said. He talked about the Jalen Carter matchup in this game. And you heard Nick Earnshaw bring up in the last hour that Aaron Donald thinks that Jalen Carter is the next best interior D tackle in football. And I say if, Jalen Carter is able to live up to those expectations, as Sal Paolantonio said, that's a key matchup in the game on Sunday. Boy, if Jalen Carter has his way with Washington this Sunday, that could be the answer to everything. And, there's an old saying that great minds think alike. Sal Paolantonio's key matchup on Sunday was also Brian Baldinger's key matchup when he talked on the Takeoff with John Clark podcast.
Nobody can handle Jalen right now as it is in this business, but as a backup player that hasn't played a lot, and what you worry about backup players is if he gets beat early, like what's his head going to be like? Because they don't really have a lot else you can go to. What's he going to be like if Jalen just abuses him on a play or two plays where he just gets him going on skates and swims him?
If Vic Fangio can get Jalen Carter started, get him in some situations where he can wreak some havoc early in the game, how does that change the trajectory of Washington's offense? If you think about it, Jalen Carter might be almost a bigger key to the game on Sunday than anyone else. And, Jalen Carter is a freak of nature. And when you have these freaks of nature who are dialed in, we mentioned Aaron Donald with Nick Earnshaw in the last hour. I brought up Chris Jones. When Fletcher Cox was in his prime, in his heyday, he was one of those havoc wreckers, those guys who would wreck a game even if they didn't get the sack. They would open up opportunities for other guys. That is what Jalen Carter is doing now. He is opening opportunities for Milton Williams, for Josh Sweat, for Nolan Smith to get to the quarterback. And if Philadelphia can contain Jaden Daniels, if they can put Jaden Daniels in a position where he's not able to scramble all around him, they can contain him. My mind still goes back 20 years ago. One of the biggest games in Eagles history was the NFC Championship game when Jim Johnson's defense contained Michael Vick in the conference championship game. That game was absolutely wild. People forget that Michael Vick was the most feared man on earth coming into that game. And the Eagles were one of the only teams to slow him down. And it wasn't just a hit by Dawkins in the game. It was the fact that guys played great assignment football. They did a great job at staying in their lanes. They did an amazing job at not letting Michael Vick wreak havoc on the game. If the Eagles can do the same thing this Sunday, because Jaden Daniels is just as much part of that running game as the running backs are. Brian Baldinger, more from him on Jaden Daniels and the Washington offense.
Cliff has always spread you out to run it, and Jaden is such a big part of his running game. He doesn't slide. He goes everything head first or out of bounds. And so it's just something you got to study. Like, I can't find him sliding, in the open field. Like, it's a little bit like Mike Vick like that. Like, he just doesn't really know how to do it, or he just chooses not to, one or the other. But you got to account for him as a runner in every situation.
And I'm not saying the Eagles are going to put a spy on him, but I think there's going to be an effort at containment. And you heard him say that Cliff Kingsbury likes to spread things out. Well, if Kingsbury likes to spread things out, that could be a recipe for an easier pass rush for Philadelphia, because now you have less blockers on the line of scrimmage. We know Fangio does not like to blitz very often. In fact, he only blitzed in the fourth quarter of the game on Sunday, And I think it was mostly in part to try to throw Stafford off of his game, and it kind of backfired a little bit. But Fangio doesn't like to blitz. He likes to send 4 or 5 guys at most and let the coverage team do their job. If Quinyon Mitchell is good to go, which we expect him to be, he's not designated on the injury report with any injury. He is good to go. He should slow down Terry McLaurin. Darius Slay should be able to slow down whether it's Olamide Zaccheaus or Denami Brown. In fact, if I were the Eagles, I would put Cooper DeGio on Denami Brown and just say good luck with that. If the Eagles can slow down the Washington pass game to give Daniels too much time to think, because he's much better at making quick decisions than long-term decisions, that might be the key for Philadelphia this Sunday. The NFC Championship game you hear right here on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. Yes, we will be streaming not just the Eagles-Washington game, but also the Bills-Chiefs game this Sunday on 97.3 ESPN. Coming up, the Outside View. John Keim covers the Washington Commanders for ESPN NFL Nation. He joins me next. I'm Josh Hennig, filling in for Mike Gill, live in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios on 97.3 ESPN.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Never thought this radio stunt would catch on so big.
On 97.3 ESPN.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales.
Start the new year right in a new Chevy from Bennett, where we sell new Chevys at the true GM supplier employee price. Yeah, you pay what our employees pay, not a penny more. Plus, at Bennett Chevrolet, you keep all the rebates. That's incredible. That's right, you save both ways, saving you up to 20% off the sticker. But it gets even better, because right now there's available 0.9% financing, saving you even more. 0.9. And get this, if you're looking for a pre-owned, Bennett Chevy will pay you a minimum $10,000 for any old clunker you can get here towards any pre-owned in stock. You'll get at least 10 grand for total junk. Imagine how much you'll get for a good trade. And one more thing, Bennett's sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. That makes a huge difference. No hype, no pressure. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Presenting a Gain Flings love story. Dear love of my life, we were on the 12B bus this morning when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. Alas, I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Gain Flings. Try Gain Flings with OxyBoost and Febreze.
I'm Mike Mackler. At Goldenberg Mackler, we represent you, not the insurance companies. When seriously injured in any type of accident, call us. We'll speak with you for free and fight to get you the money you deserve. When injured, make the right call to Goldenberg Mackler.
For the best lawyer, call Goldenberg Mackler. With 4 convenient locations to better serve you: Atlantic City, Northfield, Rio Grande, and Vineland. Call us at 609-344-7131.
What's better than one win? 3 wins. With Straight Savings, you keep your own phone, get one line for only $25 a month with real unlimited data, and get rewarded with a $200 phone credit after 12 months. It's a win-win-win. Head to Walmart or visit straighttalk.com today. Switch to Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Straight Savings Plan enrollment requires compatible unlocked device and new line of service. Bonus device credit requires 12 months of active service. Offer ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. Taxes and fees apply. For network management practices, see Straight Talk's terms and conditions.
Hi, this is Brighton Richards with Apex East Roofing. You know, the blonde-haired girl in the pink truck. Don't you just hate high-pressure sales guys that try and force you into making a decision on the spot? We're not like that. We're a family-owned business that can give you a quote in 30 seconds at apexeastroofing.com. Not sure the size of your roof? No problem. Give us a call and we'll come out. We have a 5-star rating on Google with nearly 200 reviews.
Get a price on your roof in 30 seconds at apexeastroofing.com.
Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
For new carpet, the Home Depot is your destination. With a large assortment of affordable carpeting in the brands, styles, and colors you need. And for new carpet savings, the Home Depot also has you covered. With 10% off all special order carpeting right now. Enjoy long-lasting comfort at a great price and free installation. Offer valid January 9th through January 26, 2025. Receive 10% off special order carpet and installation. Installation included in select markets with qualifying purchase. For licenses, see homedepot.com/license numbers.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN. NHL, the Flyers remaining in New York tonight as they take on the Islanders. Philadelphia losing to the Rangers at the Garden Thursday 6-1. Despite the loss, the Flyers have still won 5 of their last 7. Owen Tippett scored the first goal of the game, but then New York put up 6 unanswered. Sixers home tonight facing the Cleveland Cavaliers, looking to snap a 7-game losing skid after they fell in Denver on Tuesday. That wrapped up a 3-game road trip, and they'll face a Cleveland team that is the best record in the NBA. The Eagles and the Commanders meeting for the 3rd time this season in the NFC title game. Philadelphia has won 14 of their last 15, but the one loss came in Week 16 against Washington in a game where Jalen Hurts suffered a concussion. Both teams ranked in the top 3 in rushing. Eagles trying to get to the Super Bowl for the 2nd time in the past 3 seasons. Progressive Insurance, bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN.
Now Taxes is using Credit Karma, where TurboTax Expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get your refund so you can do more with it right in Credit Karma. Now this is taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. See guaranteed details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. It's a pretty tame weather forecast through the weekend and early next week. Our only weather headline is a welcome warming trend into the 30s and eventually the 40s. Now, tonight's going to be cold. Clear skies, calm winds, low of 18 degrees. Tomorrow we'll see sun with afternoon clouds, high of 33. Shooting for 42 on Sunday. Finally a return to seasonable temperatures. Mostly cloudy, breezy, maybe a flurry or sprinkle. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Take the winning drive to RK Kia of Vineland, where you get RK coverage, no charge. RK does it right. RK Kia of Vineland. MyRKKia.com.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him, but he talks to me.
On 97.3 ESPN. This is the home of Philadelphia Eagles playoff football.
Barkley makes 3 men miss. He's at the 50. He's at the 40. He is going all the way. Saquon Barkley. 68 yards.
97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's official home for Philadelphia Eagles football. Brought to you by
GMS Law, Jersey Shore Federal Credit Union, Boardwalk Honda, First Bank of Sea Isle, BMW of Atlantic City, Ace Hardware Home Services, Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, Ocean Casino, Jenkins Plumbing, Piccadilly Inn, East Coast Roofing, Cooper University Health, Sun Valley Pools, Elite Acura, Calvi Electric, Miller Lite, Bradley's Plumbing, Caesar Sportsbook, Camden County Police Department.
This is South Jersey's official home for Philadelphia Eagles football.
And it is going to be intercepted. It is picked off again. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's Eagles station.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. We'll be talking with John Keim, ESPN NFL Nation reporter, coming up in a couple minutes. As always, you guys can join the conversation as well, 609-403-0973. I got to admit, throughout the day, all the texts we've gotten, I haven't seen a ton of you actually saying who you think is going to win the game. Kind of crazy to me. The 3rd time the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Commanders play, it'll be this Sunday.
The NFC Championship.
And you can hear the game here on 97.3 ESPN. Joining us right now to talk more about the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Commanders from the outside view, it's John Keim, ESPN NFL Nation reporter, joins us now on 97.3 ESPN. John, welcome in. Appreciate you jumping on. How you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Doing pretty good. So I think one of the biggest questions a lot of people have coming into this game, John, about this matchup is we saw what Washington did in the postseason here, this 2-game run of them and their excellence from Jaden Daniels. For you, what has been the most unique part about watching this postseason run for this rookie quarterback in Washington?
To be honest, it's kind of a continuation of what he's done all year. So I think the poise he shows, but that's what he's shown all year. I mean, he's gone on the road in 2 games and thrown 4 touchdowns and no picks. And, one at Tampa Bay, a very good team, one at Detroit, one of the loudest places in the NFL. And, to go do that and the poise he plays with, like nothing rattles him. So, you see his demeanor on the sidelines. He's not uptight. He stays the same. It's kind of remarkable the poise he has for somebody so young. But he's also, he talked to Dan Quinn about this too, and he's like, because of the way he prepares, he goes into every game feeling prepared and confident. And I think you see that reflected in his demeanor on the field. And I think that's what really stands out. The plays he makes, he's done it all year. The poise he's shown all year, but it's like to do it now in those environments, pretty impressive.
Talk to us about the connection between Cliff Kingsbury and Jaden Daniels, because I think a lot of people coming into this season were curious about how that would play out. And it seems like, this in many ways is, for lack of a better term, a match made in heaven.
Well, listen, the Bears, you can see the difference in the 2 teams between like Washington and Chicago and the poor infrastructure the Bears had for Caleb Williams. It was the opposite here. And a lot of it starts with Kingsbury and just he has, everybody's talking about the air raid offense, but they really don't run that. It's not, it's different, right? And I think what helps him is, first of all, he's been a coach for a while, but he's also worked with quarterbacks with that skill set, multi-dimensional quarterbacks. I think that helps as well. And so he was able to tailor an offense that really suits Jaden. But I think really, to be honest, a big key in their relationship is how they both work. I mean, it is all work for both of them. So Jaden gets here 5:30ish, already sits in the hot tub watching film. He and Kingsbury and quarterbacks coach Tavita Pritchard are in the practice bubble at 6 a.m. going over the playbook and going over the plays. And it's like he's constantly texting Kingsbury with plays he's seen on YouTube, plays he saw in other games, and just trying to see and also understanding that they fit what Washington does. And that's just kind of how Kingsbury is too. So the 2 of them together, I think are a good pair for that reason.
Talking with John Keim, covers the Commanders for ESPN NFL Nation at John_Keim on the Twitter X platform. John, you mentioned also about the offense. Obviously, the big story coming in this week, Sam Cosmi, he is out. He is unavailable. How will that impact the way the offense runs on Sunday?
It'll definitely impact it because he had to block Jalen Carter. I will say not many people are successful blocking Jalen Carter. So, but you are losing arguably your best lineman. And so there's a tremendous loss. It's leadership, it's toughness, it's his ability to block in space, his ability to pull, all that stuff. So now you're probably going to replace him with a guy in Trent Scott who is an experienced NFL player, but he hadn't played at guard since 2021 until he had to go in the other night in Detroit. Like that's what you're up against, and so there's a big impact there, really big. It doesn't. Will it cost him the game? Well, maybe not. But Jalen Carter is capable of taking over a game, and I think that's going to be the matchup to watch on Sunday.
For the people who point out the fact that in the last matchup, Washington scored 22 points after C.J. Gardner-Johnson left the game. How do you balance that with a team that is absolutely on fire right now, the last 2 games, to say, hey, this team, even with C.J. Gardner-Johnson on the field, is still dangerous on the attack?
I think he's a very good safety. I didn't realize he was the Defensive Player of the Year. In all seriousness, like there's like they had 5 turnovers and scored 36 points. So it wasn't just because one guy went out. As good as he is, like they were doing well. Like De'Ami Brown ran past Darius Slay. You know what I mean? So like it wasn't just because of that. Now I think the hard part is doing that again against that defense. And I think, like, that's going to be the trick. So I think, like, the first time they played them, keep in mind, like, if people want to use, like, reasons, they were coming off a short week. Jaden Daniels was banged up. He had the rib injury that he's still recovering from. They didn't have John Allen. They didn't have Marshawn Lattimore, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the Eagles are better. And I think they showed it. That game, they didn't do as well offensively. So, then they did, much better in the second game. Now, I will say, to your point, they did do better after that point, right? And whether it's coincidence or not, I mean, there is an impact. And because they didn't, like the first half, I remember watching that game and thinking like, oh, it's just not their day. And then they really finished strong. And so I think a big key to that too was early in the game, they stopped them on first down a lot. And sometimes it was Carter with a run stop or a pressure that forces a bad throw or whatever it was. Like they weren't good on first down. I think that was a big factor. In the third, late in the third and the fourth, they were much better there. So, I would be surprised if they have that offensive success again, because the Eagles defense is just really good, and I think but one thing to keep in mind too, the first game, Washington had a poor plan for Terry McLaurin, and they didn't move him around. They kept him on one side. The Eagles knew where he was at. Quinyon Mitchell and then the safeties really kind of focused on him and stopped him, and that took away a big part of their offense. Well, the second meeting, they moved him around a lot, and I think that made a difference in the pass game eventually. I will be curious to see what look, Vic Fangio is a terrific coordinator, so I'll be curious to see what happens, what he comes up with to maybe negate some of that success they had by doing that. So it's a really, really good chess match here. But yeah, I think, I'd be surprised if they have that kind of game again, because that's too good of a defense to do that on. But, we'll see. But, Stafford had them in position to do it last week too and didn't. But, I find it hard to believe, like, that defense is really good. And they do such a good job taking away explosive, and this is something this team lives on.
John, let's flip it over to the other side of the ball. We know Washington's defense, they're not the best against the run. We know Philadelphia loves to run. Saquon Barkley, he's a guy who's had 150 and 147 yards against this defense. And now Daron Payne is listed as questionable for the game. So what is the state of the Commanders' defense?
Oh, I lost you there for a second.
I was saying, what is the state of the Commanders' defense?
Okay. Yeah. So, first of all, I would expect Payne to play.
Okay.
So I would be surprised if anybody misses. Secondly, that's been a trouble spot all year. And obviously, Saquon Barkley is fantastic. And it's funny because you can feel good about how you're doing against them for an extended time, and then it's boom, boom, boom. And that's what happened in the first game, if you remember. They had him, was like 20 carries, 70 yards going in the fourth quarter. And he finishes like what, like $150? 90 yards in the fourth quarter. Like, that's what he does. And so he's like, they know that you have to be perfect against him every time. And even then, they know that it might not be enough. So I think what their goal is with him, first of all, you have to, I don't think you're going to stop him. You have to make sure he doesn't beat you, consistently. So I think that's the goal. And make the Eagles win with the passing game. Not that they can't, but the run game can hurt you big time. And I think like that's going to be the key. And so they've struggled against the run all year. The second half against the Eagles, they held Barkley 16 carries, 27 yards. Clearly, when you don't have Jalen Hurts in the game, it impacts what you do. I felt like they did a good job stopping him, but you also know, like if a healthy Hurts makes a big difference when in that run game. I mean, shoot, you saw it on that 44-yard touchdown run where it's off his own read. So you see that, and that makes Barkley stopping him even harder. But you have to stop him. I mean, his jump cuts are fantastic. Like you see, you know this. You guys watched him. Like you look like you have him stopped, and he bounces out, and it's like, boom, he's gone. So they talk about the angles, and you have to you have to take the right angle. Otherwise, he's going to either cut back or just get outside you. I mean, he's that dangerous. And it's funny because somebody asked the defensive coordinator here, Joe Witt, like, does he look rejuvenated in Philly? He's like, because no, he was good before. It might just be that he's running behind that line, but he was already great. It's just that now you see it. Now you're able to really see it all because of what they have around him. I think he's fun to watch, man.
Absolutely. John, a couple more before I let you go. I want to know from you how, if the Eagles end up going to the air a little more in this game, because we know they haven't thrown a lot this year. In fact, they threw the fewest amount in the entire NFL this year. If they do go to the air, what is Washington's pass defense looking like, considering what we saw? Listen, the last thing we saw, right, was in Detroit. That was a shootout by the end of the game. And frankly, if Jared Goff and Jamison Williams are throwing interceptions, who knows how that game turns out?
Right. And, I mean, they moved the ball. And I will say this, like the one what I cared about more in that game were the 5 turnovers. Like they're not going to just stop. They don't have a dynamic. They have some good pass rushers like Frankie Louvu, the linebacker, can blitz and hurt you. Dante Fowler's had a nice year. But they don't have that dynamic guy. Like, they don't have Myles Garrett here going to get after you. So, and I don't know that they don't have a ton of big-time playmakers. So, so it's hard for them just to line up and just going to stop you all game, right? That's not what they're going to do. So they need to be able to force turnovers, to me, to really change a game. And can they do that? They did it last week. If it gets into a shootout, obviously Detroit is a different kind of passing attack, and they were more willing to do things there. Against the Eagles, it's going to be the big match would be Marshawn Lattimore and A.J. Brown. And we saw what happened the last time they played, and there were a few plays where Lattimore won, and definitely a few where A.J. Brown was, drew 3 pass interference penalties. So, they can't afford to have that again. I think they need a healthy, good Lattimore against him. And then Mike Samuel against Devontae Smith. How does he hold up? So those are the matchups to watch there. And the other problem is you got the tight end too. I mean, it's like it's such a hard offense to go against because of all that. So, but I think if the corners can hold up, then you've got a chance. And, the question is, will they? Because those are really good receivers.
John, before I let you go, you mentioned the tight end. I wanted to ask just a big picture look back on the season. What has Zach Ertz meant to this Washington team?
Oh, my goodness. A ton. And I think, there are a lot of people figured he was done after the last couple of years. And both years ended with him on IR, although he told me earlier this year, he said it again the other day, that he didn't think he needed to go on IR last year, but the Cardinals put him there. So regardless, that's where he ended up. And then it took him a while to find a team. And he said there were offers, nothing that was really enticing. He wanted to be reunited with Kingsbury because he felt like Kingsbury understood his game as well as any coach that he's been around. And I think you've seen it this year. And he's been a big part just as you could see. So the security blanket for Daniels, but also like one of the things with Daniels that stands out is how much he picks the brain of veterans like Ertz, like Bobby Wagner, really a lot of guys. Like it could be special team standout safety, backup, safety, Jeremy Reeves. Like he's going to pick his brain. But Ertz has been that guy for him on offense big time. And I think, that is where he's really helped. But the fact that he can still play, I mean, he's not the guy that he was in Philly, but he can hurt you, especially in the red zone. Like he can hurt you in the red zone. And so that's where they use him a lot. And on third down, and third down, fourth down, red zone, that's when they're going to look for Ertz. So he's meant an awful, awful lot. And he does. I said this, like he talks about Philly, how much it meant to him, and what it means to go back there. But man, has he meant a lot to this place.
He is ESPN NFL Nation Washington Commanders reporter John Keim at John_Keim on the Twitter X platform for all of your Commanders coverage. Give him a follow. And he joined us right here on 97.3 ESPN. John, I really do appreciate you jumping on, and enjoy the weekend.
Thanks a lot, and looking forward to Sunday. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. The third time these teams will play, and it's the first time the Philadelphia Eagles will play a divisional rival in a conference championship game since 1980, when Dick Vermeil and the Eagles beat Danny White and the Dallas Cowboys on the way to their first Super Bowl in franchise history. Will history repeat itself again this Sunday? I'll tell you how, coming up next. Plus, Johnny G in Ocean City, as well as Kevin, all chiming in with their thoughts on the game this Sunday. We'll read all your guys' thoughts and comments next as we wrap up the show. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on the Sports Bash, live in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios on 97.3 ESPN.
It's the NFC Championship game this Sunday as the Eagles host their NFC East rivals, the Washington Commanders.
He breaks a tackle. He's on his way. Here he goes. He's at the 40, 30, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown! Saquon Barkley!
Pre-game coverage starts at 2 p.m. South Jersey's official home for Eagles playoff football. 97.3 ESPN. South Jersey's home of Super Bowl 59.
Take the winning drive to RK Kia of Vineland. Brand new Kias under $6 a day. $6. That's less than lunch. Lease new Kia K4 under $6 a day. Even new K5 and Sorrentos under $7 a day. Now at RK Kia. Lease new 25 Kia K4 LXS. $6 a day. K5 LXS and Sorrento LX with third row seating under $7 a day. $7. Plus get 0% financing for 72 months. 0%. Plus you get RK coverage, no charge. Ding repair, tire repair, wheel repair, windshield repair, and more. No charge. Brand new Kias under $6 a day. Take the winning drive to RK. RK Kia of Vineland. RK does it right. MyRKKia.com. MyRKKia.com. To qualified buyers plus tax and title. For details, call 856-641-1111 or MyRKKia.com.
Presenting a Gain Flings love story. Dear love of my life, we were on the 12B bus this morning when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. Alas, I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Gain Flings. Try Gain Flings with OxyBoost and Febreze.
For new carpet, the Home Depot is your destination, with a large assortment of affordable carpeting in the brands, styles, and colors you need. And for new carpet savings, the Home Depot also has you covered, with 10% off all special order carpeting right now. Enjoy long-lasting comfort at a great price and free installation. Offer valid January 9th through January 26th, 2025. Receive 10% off special order carpet and installation. Installation included in select markets with qualifying purchase. For licenses, see homedepot.com/license numbers.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Come join us to watch the NFC Championship game. We're proud to be the official sports bar of the Philadelphia Eagles. Come join us for all the Eagles playoff action and the best in-game experience anywhere. Ice-cold draft beer, all of your Chicky and Pete's favorites, and of course, world-famous crab fries. Perfect for Eagles playoffs. Go where the players go. The official sports bar of the Philadelphia Eagles. Chickies and Pete's.
This Sunday, the road to the big game comes through Philly. Reserve your table now at chickiesandpete's.com.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Wrap up your workday with the all-new Chickies and Pete's Happy Hour with unbeatable specials weekdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Enjoy half-price orders of Chickies meaty and tender wings, one of our tasty and delicious pizzas, or an order of mouth-watering hot, cold, or fried shrimp. Plus $3 domestic bottled beers, $5 Tito's, and $6 seltzers. It's the all-new Happy Hour, weekdays 4 to 6 p.m., only at Chickies and Pete's.
Flex Premium Athleisure is softness that plays hard. From the couch to the gym to the office and beyond. Flex gives you premium comfort and style that keeps up with anything without costing everything. Whether you're chasing the ball or chasing the kids. Life's a workout. Flex with it. Exclusively at Kohl's. Some exclusions apply. See store or kohls.com for details.
Winter savings are heating up at Boardwalk Honda. With over 200 new vehicles in stock and dropping interest rates, there's never been a better time to buy. Plus, qualified buyers pay nothing for 90 days with approved credit. Our expert team is ready to help you find your perfect Honda with personalized service that puts you first. Visit BoardwalkHonda.com or stop by today. Hurry, these deals won't last. Boardwalk Honda, your trusted destination for exceptional Honda savings this season. No payments for 90 days requires approved credit. See dealer for complete details.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit NoTimeToWait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Caesars Sportsbook is the only sportsbook app with Caesars Rewards. That means win or lose, every bet you place brings you closer to the type of perks only Caesars can offer. So download the app using promo code RADIODYW and place your first bet of $1 or more for a chance to double your winnings on your next 10 bets. Open to new users in New Jersey who are 21 or older. Max bet $25 for boosted winnings. Max additional winnings $25,000 per bet. Drop boost tokens expire 14 days after receipt. For terms, Caesars.com/promos. If you or someone has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
You're listening to The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. We'll get to the Friday Five brought to you by BMW of Atlantic City in just a moment. But first, I want to get some of you guys' thoughts and comments. You've been chiming in 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Johnny G in Ocean City says, hey, Josh. Vegas doesn't lay 6 points lightly. That tells me the Eagles beat Washington's boy wonder. I expect there to be 3 interceptions. Wow, Johnny G. He says Eagles win 34-24. He says Gill said the score will be tie. Johnny G in Ocean City. I don't know if he'll get 5 interceptions, Johnny G, but I think he'll get at least 1 interception. I think this Philadelphia defense is playing at a high level right now. I don't see a scenario where they can't force any turnovers. Kevin chimes in on the DMs. He says, defense wins championships. Because rookie quarterbacks are 0-5 in championship games, Eagles will win by at least 10 points on Sunday. Yeah, in NFC and AFC championship games, the 5 rookie quarterbacks who have lost those games are Brock Purdy, Mark Sanchez, Ben Roethlisberger, Joe Flacco, and Sean King. And I do agree. I think Jane Daniels does fall into that category. I think he is going to be the 6th rookie to lose. But still, there are some keys to the game we got to get to here. So for the Friday Five, I'm going to run down 5 key players to watch for in the game on Sunday. And of course, the Friday Five brought to you by BMW of Atlantic City. Your luxury BMW experience is closer than you think. Take advantage of exceptional savings and experience luxury today at BMW of Atlantic City in Egg Harbor Township. My player number 1 to watch for the Friday Five is Jalen Carter. I've said it multiple times throughout the show here on 97.3 ESPN. If Jalen Carter has an impact on this game at any level people expect him to. Sal Paolantonio said it. Brian Baldinger, we played the audio cuts from him. He talked about it. Nick Earnshaw brought it up. Andrew DiCecco brought it up earlier. Everyone today at some point has brought it up this week. So if Carter plays that level, he will change this game in the Eagles' favor. Player number 2 to watch for is Frankie Louvu. This is the guy who has wreaked havoc for a lot of teams this year. He's the one who knocked Jalen Hurts out of the game. Sal Paolantonio said it. It was an illegal hit, should have been flagged, should have been fined. It wasn't. Can the Eagles keep Frankie Louvu from having an impact on this game? Player number 3 to watch for. I know it's a little obvious, but it's Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley this year had 147 and 150 yards against the Washington defense. If he does it again, he will not just break Terrell Davis's record, but he will also lead the Eagles to the Super Bowl. Player number 4, obviously as well, Jaden Daniels. Do not let Jaden Daniels take over this game. You got to contain him like the Eagles did to Michael Vick 20 years ago. Player number 5 to watch for in this game, Quinyon Mitchell. If Mitchell can, I don't know if he can shut down Terry McLaurin again, but if he can at least keep McLaurin from having impact on this game, the Eagles will win, and I do believe Philadelphia will win. My pick for the game this Sunday, kickoff at 3 p.m. here on 97.3 ESPN. I have the Eagles winning 28-20. I think that the odds makers, as Johnny G said, they know stuff, so I am going to lean into the numbers they're giving out. I think the Eagles will run out the clock at the end of the game, and they will be on their way to a Super Bowl, and you can hear all the action this Sunday. Coverage begins at 2 p.m., kickoff at 3 on 97.3 ESPN. I'm Josh Hennig. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend.
It's Sixers basketball tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Yabusele in, Maxey for 3. It's up and good. Oh, yeah! He's been known with the prolific fourth quarters.
It's Sixers Cavs tonight. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. It's Sixers basketball all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia 76ers basketball. 97.3 ESPN.